No. Thank you. I'd like to call to order the Norristown Municipality Council Work Session of Tuesday, March 17th. May I have a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance?
William McCoy.
Present.
Adira Robinson. Present. Madeline Fulton. Here. Jasmine Griffen. David McMahon.
Here.
Aye. Council, do I have a motion to approve last meeting's minutes?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ayes have it. Move on. We had an executive session tonight about personnel. Vice President Queenan, do we have any announcements?
Yes, we do. Also, if anybody needs a translator, we have a young lady back there waving at you. If you can get a device to translate for you. Everybody, mark your calendar. Saturday, April 25th, 2026, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's Izzy Earth Day Party. And I know you all wanted Party with Izzy to be. This will be at our recreational center. Am I correct? Let me see that. I'm trying to look for the thing. Doesn't say, do it? Elmwood Park Playground, my fault. Where it has the best playground because I grew up there playing over there all the time. So April 25th, 2026, from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And also, I'll have a town hall at the library on March 23rd. Make sure I have green cupcakes since my last council meeting got snowed in for Valentine's Day. So we'll have Black Irish cupcakes, Black Irish. Any other announcements?
I'm sorry, I was just going to. The businesses on Marshall Street in Norristown on March 28th will be having a Shop Local celebration. We're encouraging folks to come out and, visit that shopping district. It'll be all day. I think I have the hours here from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So we'd encourage people to come out and support local businesses. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Robinson.
Thank you. Good evening, all. I just wanted to say, because hopefully we'll have a chance again to say it in April, but just to name April 11th is coming up. And I'd like to make it an annual thing with you all as I have this time together. So I hope that you will join me for What's the 411, our community town hall on 4/11. It was virtual last year. We will have the virtual component, but we will also have an in-person one as well. So I will come before coming with more details about the location, but just wanted to put it on your calendar. What's the 411? I'm interested to hear from you and hear about how your experience in the community is. So hope that you will join us on April the 11th on 4/11. Thank you.
Council, any other announcements? Nope. All right, moving along. Responses to questions from last council meeting.
There are no specific questions from last council meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, and we're off to public comments.
Jay Bagley and Oscar Vance.
Good day, everyone. Hope you don't mind me put my green hat on. So I'm Jay Bagley, and this is Oscar.
All right, I'm Oscar Vance. I'm a former Chief County Detective, Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. No stranger to the Norristown community. And I've been in this community of Norristown, working here in the District Attorney's Office and working in conjunction with the Norristown Police Department on many occasions for the past 48 years. And I was the chief up there for about 30 years. But we come to you this evening for a program that we have now called the Vance Center, located on Cherry Street. And it's located at 212, 214 Cherry Street. And there's certain things that we offer, and we put together a program for you that you have in front of you at this present time. But we cover photography, drones, aviation, podcast, preparing young people for the police departments. We have a training program there, and Mr. Bagley here is the professor down at the Temple University who certifies these people for the drone program and also for the FAA program. So, Mr. Bagley, you want to tell them about that?
Well, the main thing is our kids, the kids of Norristown. We deal with problem kids. They got a lot of issues. Some of them are afraid to ride down the street in the car without ducking down. That's how sensitive their interaction with their communities. And they want to shoot each other and they want to hurt each other. But what we're trying to do is turn that around and give them the positive outlook on that side. So for 2 hours, for certain, they're in a safe zone. These kids are now, since our first meeting, which we had 10 kids, and I tried to limit that, but the next week we had 30. So that word got around, which is a good thing, because that's another opportunity for them kids. A lot of them are out of school, quit school, got thrown out of school. But they still have brain power. Our kids still walk around with a brain. And it can be turned around if they see some positive reinforcement. And that's what we do. Drones, which I mainly do there, is innovative. And if you look at the movies, TV, the news, real estate, it's jobs for them without them having to, get a college degree. So this is an opportunity that they see, and we have a group who are starting their own business. So this is how far we come in a short time. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be a part of it, and it's a blessing to be working with Police Chief Oscar Vance as well. And I've been working with our youth for a very long time, and I've And, it takes some funding, but that's just a little bit right there. But it keeps us going. We're going to have classes in 3 weeks for anybody who would like to get their Part 107. We'll be down 216 Cherry Street, and we'll start you on getting certified on the drone program as well. And we do have photography, we do have music, and we have art and aviation. And for the kids who are athletic, we also have boxing. And that's growing. It just came out of nowhere. It made itself at home. And we said, okay. So that's our story.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Not a question, but I did want to offer a comment, or actually one quick question. Are you guys, is your organization set up as a 501c3?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
we are.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I'd like to just quickly, and I think this is helpful for anyone in the community, share a funding opportunity with you. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it is time sensitive. The Montgomery County area has the Health Spark Foundation, and there is a fund called the Black Justice Fund. It's the Frank E. Boston Black Justice Fund. Dr. Frank E. Boston was the founder of the Lansdale Hospital, first Black person to own a hospital as well as an ambulance service here in this community. It's now the Lansdale Hospital, but either way, there's a trust that's transferred to his organization. They offer general operating support. They are open right now accepting applications, particularly LOIs. So if you want to learn a little bit more, but the deadline is March 25th. I would encourage you. You guys sound like you have a really interesting program. They do make sizable donations around that, but you have to prepare a letter of interest, basically detailing your program. And in a lot of ways, this can be your letter of interest.
Yes.
You send this in, and then they will invite you to apply for the grant. And this goes up every year. So March 27th is the deadline. You can visit healthspark.org to find out more about it. If you're here at the end of the meeting, I'm happy to share more. You can email me and I'll send it to you. But I would definitely encourage you, especially because that window is open right now, to look into an opportunity like that as well.
I thank you, Ms. Robinson, because I'm AARP now, and I wasn't going to remember nothing you just said. I'll see you after the meeting.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Michael Patriga?
Council, good evening. Michael Patriga, 1800 block of New Hope Street in Norristown. And I know tonight we have a resolution before us pertaining to JP Mascaro and the trash collection. And there's two options that were presented to council for weekly pickup, just once a week, or twice a week. And I looked up tonight in the Webster Dictionary the word consistent. And part of the definition, it says continuing to happen. And the only thing that I can say that's consistent about with JP Mascaro is that they're not consistent on picking up once a week, because there's weeks at a time where I'll call. There's weeks at a time where I'll call and say, nobody came to pick up my trash. So as we think about this tonight, let's let's keep that in mind, that how it may have an effect on the town and the cost, because I can see by looking at the resolution, it's going to be a substantial increase in cost for this. Thank you.
Derek Johns.
Good evening, Council. Derek Johns, Pathway to Potential. As you heard, these men, great program. We're partnered up with them and been working with them. But I'm here to address something a little bit different today. There have been rumor within the town, I guess, trying to push my team out, that we are the cops and we are working with the police and we are getting kids indicted. This is very dangerous for me and my staff. I've been working with the chief and everybody on council to better relationship with the community and council. But somebody who's walking around town telling them that we are getting kids locked up and getting them indicted. This is very dangerous to me and my team. And this, nobody have given me any money. Nobody have put a dime in my pocket. Everything I do is from my pockets and my team pockets. So what we do is because we know the importance of trying to save lives. So when people go around trying to do that, it's disheartening. And the most important thing is understand this. I was in the street life. Definitely was. But if I had information that a kid was going to kill a kid and I couldn't stop him, yes, I would inform the cop. I don't even think twice about it, because that would be saving a life. But me going around being in the community to say, oh, I'm working to be secretly coming back and giving information to the chief or whoever is insulting to my character. And now, all I'm saying is that whoever is this rumor, and the reason why I came to council to address it, because I know people are watching, and whoever is spreading this rumor is horrible. We're not here to fight over money, funding, none of that. We have came here numerous times, told council what we're doing. Council haven't given us a dime. We're doing this out of pocket. Come here all the way from Philadelphia every week. Nobody's giving me nothing. So nobody should be acting like I'm over here fighting anybody for any money or any funding. To be around trying to assassinate my character or put my team in danger. Thank you for your time.
Olivia Brady.
Good evening, Council, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I see on the agenda that there is a restructuring of the historic facade program, and that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm a member of the HARB as well as the Norristown Preservation Society, and I can tell you that historic preservation is very important to Norristown. It may not be a sexy thing, it may not be, but it is very important to Norristown because it is helpful to our economic development. So I hope that the restructuring is, I don't know what it is, but I hope that the restructuring is to make it more accessible to the Norristown residents. So I think it's important to have the ability for these residents to fix up their homes and do it, if they're in the district, to do it in the historic way. So I hope you'll consider that, and thank you for your time.
Al Di Gennaro.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Al Di Gennaro. I'm here with JP Mascaro III. We're here with regard to the contract that's on the award. I'd like to defer, if I could, making comments. Certainly, we're here to answer any questions, but I thought maybe it might be appropriate to give us a few minutes when you have the agenda to make the award, answer any questions, and perhaps discuss your options, but we appreciate the opportunity, if that would be permissible.
Practice. This is your opportunity for comment, and you have 2 minutes 30. Council, of course, could call you up with any kind of questions that they may have related to the proposals. That's not normal council's practice.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll open the floor up for questions when you guys are up on the agenda.
Okay.
If you guys want to field some questions, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Amber Queen?
Good evening. My name's Amber Queen. I am a resident of Norristown. I'm also on the Planning Commission and Design Review Board here. The reason I wanted to speak this evening were for two different reasons. The first is also about the JP Mascaro contract. The trash service here is exactly that, trash. They do not pick up the trash. They come in, they throw cans everywhere. We have broken cans. You can't get new cans. People are stealing wheels off each other's cans because there is such a long wait list to get trash cans. You call JP Mascaro, you don't get anybody on the phone. They tell you they're going to call you back. They'll get you a can soon. Never happens. They barely pick the trash up. They definitely do not pick up the bulk items on the second Saturday of the month. And then when we have the dumpster days, they are allowing contractors to come in and just fill those dumpsters. I see it with my own eyes. I live at Buttonwood and Elm, where there's one every single time. And unless you tip that gentleman, you're not getting anything in there. So, and he's actively made comments about people not tipping him in Norristown, even though he's paid to do a job. So, and we actively tip him when he helps to load anything large in those dumpsters. I would say, I have a question. Did we do any type of vetting for other bids or quotes from trash companies other than JP Mascaro?
Normally, this is, as Kel Kennedy said, this is more of you just talk to us, but I will say we did, yes, many.
Okay.
We'll go over that when the item line comes up.
Okay, great. And then the second thing that I wanted to discuss has to do with Bode Cellmark Forensics and the contract with Norristown Police Department, specifically regarding their data sharing, as they do not abide by the rules and regulations that are followed by the state because they are a private entity. They have their own data sharing system, and they have active contracts with ICE. There are other options who are local, who are actually closer, and would not be a larger increase in price to provide contracts with those companies. I would ask council to take into consideration that they actually look at the data sharing information of this company, who they share that information with, what they're actually sharing, which is information of people who have not even been convicted of crimes yet, and that you would take into consideration finding another company for that contract. Thank you.
Andy, not sure, Laudasol? Laudasiv?
Good evening, Council. My name is Andy. I'm also here to talk about the Bode technology contract and to encourage looking into other options. I know some of my colleagues, including Amber, who just spoke, has offered a list of other resources that the county can go with for their services and that don't track and have active contracts with ICE and the Department of State. This is not the time to be giving away free information. We have vulnerable populations here in Norristown, and there's no reason to be turning over information of people that are suspected of a crime and then could be picked up and will be put into the system. So we encourage that NPD looks into other options that are more reasonable, local, and have a better outcome for the people of Norristown. Thank you.
Question. You said that a list was turned in. Is there any chance that you can send that list to me?
We can send a list to you, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And Natalia Narajo?
Good afternoon. My name is Natalia Naranjo. I am a longtime community resident of Norristown, and I'm also here to talk about Resolution 2604. But I'm mainly here to talk about community trust with the police. As we have seen over the years, community trust with police has been eroded. And we have seen police officers try to rebuild up that trust with community, with different events, with different moments. But we continue to see that lack of trust, right? Because we see situations like this where the community doesn't know how much communication there is between ICE and police. But when they're seen in the same locations, that trust erodes, right? And then when we see that because you were arrested for a DUI 10 years ago, because you were arrested for a suspected crime 5 years ago, or whatever the situation is, once your information is in the system, that's it, right? They have your information, they have your address, they start following you, or well, ICE specifically starts following you, right? And so as we're trying to fix this community trust between the Norristown community and police, we see this erosion when we have situations like this where police says, we're not working with ICE, we're not giving your information to ICE, which is true, right? But then we see these connections between Bode Cellmark Forensics and other situations like that where once they input that information into a system, it's out of their hands, right? And so as we're talking about building up that trust with community, it would be completely different if the police could tell the community, hey, once we have your information, we have been able to cut the ties between giving your information over to a federal agency or to the agency that is stalking our community members, right? Community members are no longer safe. It's not that they're taking criminals or people that are just in the system because of a crime they committed. They're taking anybody who's in their system. We have seen them take people off of the street. We have seen them arrest people and detain people in front of children at the bus stop at 6 in the morning. Can you imagine how these children feel to then have to go to school and be there all day once they saw somebody's parents get taken away in front of them? It's difficult to see this trust continue to erode. And so if we as council, if y'all as council can do something to change that and to really be able to rebuild up that trust again, is something that we desperately need in this community as we see our rights being taken away and stripped away by our federal government and our state government every day. So if our local government and agencies can change that and really build back up that trust, that's what we actually need for our community and for our people, to see our representatives and our elected officials be able to do that. So I thank you, and good night.
All right, moving over to appointments. Resolution 26-25, appointment of professionals for 2026, Long Nyquist.
Yes, Council, you have before you, again, the Resolution 2625. This is the Long and Nyquist. This is the lobbyist for you to make a decision on which way you would like to go.
Council, any questions?
I'd just like to make a statement. I think we should continue a relationship with them. They have helped us retrieve funds for constituents over the years. Kind of should have been, in my opinion, on the January org. We're just kind of getting late to it. So I think we should definitely work with them. And then if you have questions or if you want to go elsewhere next year, we should have that discussion later.
And then backing up there, our contract with them, this will be a month-to-month contract. It could be canceled at any time, just in case we're not happy with the service they bring, if that was the case.
Correct. Looking at the agreement, it is, looks like it is a month-to-month.
Okay, there's no penalty with that either?
Not that I see in the agreement, no.
We gotta make them work. Council, any other questions? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to appoint the Long Nyquist as our professionals for 2026?
So move.
Second.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy?
Aye.
Leah Robinson?
Aye.
Natalie Colson?
Aye.
David McMahon?
Aye.
Dustin Queenan?
Aye.
Rashad Bates?
Aye. The ayes have it. All right, moving along. Resolution 26-24, recommend award of contract to JP Mascaro Sons for residential solid waste and recycling collection services.
Yes, Council, we, actually, I'm going to have Mr. Sion Chen present this, and he's going to go through the RFP process of how we got to selecting this actual vendor.
Hello, Council. All right, so we went out for the RFP on the services. Kevin, you can actually go to the next slide. All right, so currently our contract is with JP Mascaro Sons. The contract first 2026. So we went out for request for proposals to get a competitive bid for this process to see what we can do to renew or to get a new vendor. Next slide, Kevin. All right, so we advertised the posting in the Times Herald. We also did the RFP through Penn Bid. With Penn Bid, it actually went out to every vendor who had a related commodity code. So essentially anyone that's in the trash industry or so forth automatically got a system generated notification, let them know that this RFP was live. Through that, we had 26 entities actually pull the documents. We had 2 that were in the process of preparing. One of them actually withdrew, and we had a final proposal received, which was through JP Mascaro Sons. Next one. All right, the proposal was reviewed by a scoring committee consisting of representatives from the administration, finance department, public works department, and the fire department. They scored the proposal individually and independently. The system then took their scores and came with an average of 84.25 out of 100. So the proposal that we did receive was determined to be responsive and responsible. We have 2 service options that were provided within the proposal that we're presenting to council for consideration. All right, we have option 1, which is the once per week trash collection. Here you'll see that the base contract term will be for $24,482,304. It does have 2 optional extension years if we were to decide to extend, with a maximum potential contract of $37,097,856. And for option 2, same terms, but this will have twice a week trash pickup. That has the base contract term from $28,164,096. Extension years there as well, with the maximum potential contract value of $42,915,456. All right, so excluding the prorated 2026 period, which would be the same price for either the once a week or twice per week collection, we're looking at, for a twice per week collection, representing a 100% increase in service for approximately a 17% increase in costs. So double the work versus 17% in increase. As an example, looking at 2030, the once per week service would be $47.79 per household per month. At twice a week, it would be $55.88 per household per month. That's an approximate difference of about 97.08 cents annually, or $8.09 monthly, or approximately 26 cents increase a day. So essentially, we could have twice a week per service, twice a week trash pickup for 26 cents a day additional over the once per week cost. All right, so we did do a brief public survey and went out to gather some information. We had 80% of our residents who did participate actually were still in favor of maintaining the once per week, with 20% requesting for twice per week pickup. What we noticed, though, within the once per week trash pickup, the complaints were usually around cost concerns, the bulk pickup issues, cart replacement delays, and missed pickup concerns. So with that, in our current contract that we're working on, in part of this proposal, we actually have some items that addresses those things. So for example, the cost contacts, the cost for service, even if we stayed at the same, is still going to increase based on different factors such as rising wages, equipment costs, fuel, and inflation. So what we're looking at is ways for us to maximize our service value, essentially, if we're going into this new contract. What we're looking at, too, as far as we have the bulk pickup items, there were complaints around the Saturday bulk pickups, and we noticed that Mascaro was actually picking up bulk with the regular trash pickup, so we actually worked that into our RFP, essentially, to have bulk pickup done at the same time as the regular trash services. So residents have up to 2 bulk items that could place per trash pickup on the same day with their same trash. If we were to do twice per week, that means they'll have double opportunity to do bulk pickup through the same week as well. When it comes to cart replacement, right now we have a 48-hour turnaround for cart repair or replacement. What we're doing with that too, to add some more accountability, we're creating a shared mailbox between the vendor and the municipality. So whenever there's a complaint, a resident registers it through this mailbox, we'll track it in-house as well, so we can actually follow up and make sure that the carts are being replaced. But not only limited to cart replacements, but actually any kind of trash complaint or issue, they can be sent and we can track them accordingly. When it comes to missed pickup, we actually built into this also a contractual penalty system. So essentially, if there's missed picks up or service failures, we can actually penalize the vendor based on that. But again, we'll have some ownership with that with the mailbox for us to be able to track it and actually hold them accountable for the services that we're agreeing to. All right, so essentially what we're looking at is for council to decide whether we're going to be doing a once a week per trash collection pickup versus the twice a week trash collection pickup. All right, is there any questions?
Council, any questions?
This is a 4-year contract that you're asking us to,
It's prorated, so roughly around 4 years and 9 months, essentially. So it'll finish out the 2026 period and then be 4 years. So it'll go up to 2030.
I think I have a question. So also too, is there a way to have, and I know we talked about this, Mascaro come in quarterly to answer public comment and questions and council questions? Can we put that in the contract for complaints so that way we're not fielding, because I know that's one of the biggest complaints that I have in the 4th District are, mass complaints about trash and stuff like that. So I'd love to have them come in and, field questions and stuff like that, and us also have the opportunity to talk about any,
I don't see that being an issue. And then part of the contract too also comes with the education for the trash services, the recycling services, and so forth. But then also with the shared mailbox, we actually will have data that we could present ourselves at the same kind of meeting, and as well as have them come in. But we also require them to provide reporting on that data as well. So I don't see that being an issue.
Okay, and at least even if in the meetings, having someone from council sit in on one of those quarterly meetings so we can field our concerns, so, okay.
Right.
anything built in with the repair of the trash cans? Like some of the constituents said, people complain about the time service. So let's say someone doesn't get a trash can for 30 days. Is there something built in there or?
Fine. But we penalize, correct. If the trash cans are going and they aren't being replaced, there's a penalty built in to the RFP.
Okay.
And to say too, the goal isn't to penalize and fine. Our goal is to ensure it's getting done. But if it's not getting done, the penalties are built in to help back that up.
Right.
So we have a, someone from Mascaro. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name when you said it the first time. So I want to open the floor to any of the constituents out here if they want to speak on that. Do I need to have a motion to open the floor? Just to have them ask some questions? Can I do that?
You can do whatever you choose to do. Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Just before we get there, Sian, I just had a couple questions in regards to this plan. There was a survey, right, that you said that went out to assess residents, and there was feedback offered around this. Looking at the two options, I'm wondering a little bit more about just our capacity to the contract itself. Is it mandatory that we take this 4-year and however many months contract? Was there any conversation about a smaller time frame to pursue other options? And I was wondering, within that commitment time period, is there any penalty if we still find that this is not a service that is working for us or we're not liking? Is there a penalty for us in canceling that service?
We have built into our contracts typically a way to cancel our services, and it could be for a cause, for convenience, or whatever the case might be, but we do have room to build in for us to be able to change services in between the contract. But I do know through, with this, our 2026 year is kind of locked in per budget, right? So it's already locked into what it is, whether you picked once a week or twice a week. And I do know there is even an opportunity, because twice a week is a change. So there is even an opportunity for us to use it as a, like a test experience to see if we want to do this, or even just to look at it, see if we want to get more data or more feedback. But we do have room to kind of play around without being locked specifically with this, but we just need
Into year one.
without locked into the terms as before. For example, if you were to pick the twice a week, we could hypothetically do a twice a week test run and then switch back to the once a week if we decide that the twice a week isn't what we want.
It really may be me, but I'm having a terrible time hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. No, so what I was saying is that, Aline, I'm sorry, I'm a little tall. What I was saying is that there's room for us to, like, for example, if we were to do the twice a week pickup, we can use that, the 2026.
You playing? I'm sorry. Can I give
still
you a mic?
can't?
I cannot hear nothing. Like, I really can't hear you.
All right, let me try to pick the mic. Can you guys hear me better now?
Oh, it's a different mic.
Okay. So there is room for, if we did the twice per week trash collection, there is room that if we decided, hey, we don't like this, we want to go back to once per week, we can enter that discussion to switch the service.
So is there a time period within that? Like, when is this? Is there a trial period of what you're saying?
So based on the RFP, the rates are all locked in for, I believe it's 60 or 90 days, one of the two. But I think what we would need to look at, we'd actually have to discuss with the vendor essentially for the actual terms for that, which we can build into the contract before signing. So for example, if it was for a month, or excuse me, for a year without penalty or whatever the case is, we would need to discuss with the vendor to come to terms to agree, but they are open to that.
Okay, I'm doing my best to hang in there. I really think
I'm trying my best to. I can speak without the microphone.
I understand, and I don't know if it's like a vacuum of sorts.
Repeat your question again.
My question, I was trying to understand how much of a time window we had in navigating some of these services. What I gathered of what I could hear was that there is some amount of time where we can try one of these rounds, see if we like it or not, but I'm not getting the clarity of how long of a time we have that for.
Let us answer that.
So obviously, this is a general award based on our specifications. What would follow up is a contract after that. What we would do is build in a notification period if Norristown was not happy, and a 30-day period or whatever to switch or something like that. We'd have to negotiate that with Mascaro, but I'm sure they would be amenable.
Correct.
So right now, we're just asking for the RFP. We have not finalized the contract.
Right.
But service is currently active, and within our active service, we could be trying some of these services.
Correct, right.
But again, we'd have to negotiate that with Mascaro through the contract.
Thank you. I know that there was an RFP process for this in general. It seems to find that we find ourselves in conversations with Mascaro year over year. Can you talk a little bit maybe about the conditions that create that? Is Mascaro coming forward as the lead bidder? Are we seeing other options? Are we pursuing any other options? I'm just wondering, it seems like we always have a bit of concern, but they're also a part of the conversation.
Right. So through this process, and I think with a lot of our RFPs, we're tending to go more to the PenBid system, which is an electronic-based system. And like I mentioned earlier, it's tied to commodity codes. So for example, if ABC company has commodity 1, 2, 3, I'm putting an RFP out for this 1, 2, 3 related service. It's a wide net that goes out to cast of them all know that this is available. So what we tried to do for this, we tried to cast as wide as a net as we could for this. We had 26 different entities that actually came in and pulled documents, but we ultimately only had one successful bidder. And that is, with this kind of service, it is kind of typical for some of them. And that could just be based off of the, where they're established, the upfront cost of what it might take for them to actually come in and do services, so forth. So it's not uncommon for this type of service, but we did try to cast as wide as a net as we could.
And within that wide net, they ended up being the only successful completed bid.
Correct.
I saw within my agenda packet that you also looked internally to see what options could exist within the municipality. I was wondering, as you kind of went through those processes, were there anything particularly that stood out to you as viable options either now or for the future?
I think there's stuff that we can definitely look in and discuss further. There's more to it. There's deeper things that we need to discuss. One of them is what kind of equipment we'll actually need. When would we be able to get that kind of equipment? Do we even have the resources to do so? What would it be to get those resources on board? Because then it's not only just paying for the service, we're paying for the salaries, the insurance, all the other kinds of things that kind of go into that. And then also, looking at what we can do to do at the same scale of what was being done, because one of the things we don't want to do is put a disservice to our residents, essentially. But I do think there is room to at least discuss or talk about it, but it's not something we can do immediately, preventing a lapse in service.
And I just have one more question. I'm not sure who this goes to in the room, but let's say we decide not to go with Mascaro in this given situation. I'm just wondering what the other side of that looks like. We don't reestablish a contract with them. What happens? Is that service interruption? What does that look like?
Service interruption.
Right.
Service interruption. So that's kind of not even on the table.
I didn't say it was, but I'm just, I think there's concern here, so I think it's helpful to talk about without being short. What does service interruption look like?
Service interruption looks like there's no service. There would be no pickup. And again, as Sion mentioned, we pulled that net out. 26 different vendors pulled it. But as I'm sure Mascaro will get up and talk about, and as Sion already mentioned, in order to start a new service, it takes a lot of startup and a lot of assets to do that. So even if you had interrupted service and you were trying to do something, it would take some time to get something going. Even municipality-wise, we're not equipped, we're not prepared, we don't have equipment, we don't have staff to do that if it was immediately interrupted.
And last question, the end of that service contract is upon us, is that right?
Correct. March 31st of this month is the last, is the cutoff date of the last extension that we had based on the previous contract. More questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, I am also interested in exploring the idea of this being a municipal service going forward. Part of the reason being that, Norristown kind of has, it's not a suburban community with driveways and wide areas for collection. I know on my street, the way we have these cans and only these cans suitable for pickup doesn't work for some stretches of homes where there's no access like through a back alley, so that those cans stay up and out in front all times. Neighbors cannot use their porches, in the summertime because, there's just a line of cans in front of like a whole stretch of homes. I think that the sort of certain inflexibility in the way that the pickups are conducted is not helpful, for some parts of Norristown. And I think that if we took this on as our work at some future time, we could have more of that flexibility. I'm still weighing option 1 and option 2 at the moment, though.
And to touch on that a little bit too, when it looks at the, and when it comes down to the cost breakdown as well, if you're looking at the twice a week pickup, essentially, when you do have the residents, especially in the summer, that's one of the things that we've thought about as well, is that with the cans are sitting out there, as the summer, it's hot, these things are, building up scents. If it had twice a week, it'd get those things out and emptied faster. And looking at the differences in the prices for the comparison to the once a week pickup rate versus the twice a week pickup rate for that particular year, we're looking at about 27 cents in difference a day. And there really could be some value there, giving us more bang for our buck, essentially. One of the things that I was looking at, what we're looking at with that as well, when it comes to the shared mailbox, for example, when there are areas where it's difficult for a trash pickup, and this is why it's not limited to just the recycling, the trash receptacle repairs, it gives room for residents to voice their concerns and so forth, because there might be a better or particular way for a certain block that needs to be picked up. It gives us room to provide some data to that and actually work with Mascaro or whoever the vendor is selected, I should say, for us to work with that and tailor, essentially, to make sure we are getting the services that we're paying for.
What is the increase, if at all, from last year's budget in our services? If we were to just stay at the base rate of the same services, apples to apples, what increase, or if any, was there from this budget last year?
If you look in the packet that was there, we did have the, based on the price form, you could kind of see what the 2026 was locked into, because that was part of the requirement that the 2026 year had to be locked at what was already approved per budget. So what we have is a 30, for example, a once a week pickup is at $35.76, But then there's also additional things on there as far as like the bulk pickup events that we do and so forth. But the year 2, it goes to 4513 for once a week pickup, but that includes all of the additionals that weren't mentioned essentially.
And how does that align to last year's prices?
There's definitely an increase. I don't know what to say as far as with the exact amount, but it's for, if you're looking at the per household, is going from $35.76 to $45.13, which is roughly like $9 and some change. But again, there's more, and that's what our service is staying the exact same at the once per week. That increase is still there because of the different rates that weren't factored during the other contract, which couldn't possibly have been, which was inflation, the wage increases, and so forth. So it's really just kind of catching up to where that is, that jump.
Fair, and that's not to put you on the spot, but I think people are concerned about or want to know more about where that pricing dollar is. And from the feedback you said you were getting in the public survey, people were interested in whether those dollars and cents were making out. So I just wanted to name that for our room.
If you wanted to call up Mascaro, perhaps I would suggest a process. If there are any, I know you want to engage the public again to see if they have questions of Mascaro. Rather than them, their question may be directed towards you, and then you ask Mascaro. So you're not getting it back and forth right there. It may make the process go a little easier.
That makes it a lot better, yes.
Yes.
Well, before I open the floor to the public, does anyone have a question to ask JP Mascaro while they have representatives here? Because if not, I will not open the floor.
You would just need.
Yep, okay. So I need to get the motion for this though first, right? Okay. Cool. Thank you.
I mean, a theory of giving them penalties for not doing their job is great, but I'd like to understand why there's a 6-month lead time for just a trash can. It's as simple as that. Or why they even miss the pickup to begin with. When we see them pick up trash and then they skip houses and don't pick them up, and I see them put recycling in the regular trash, we pay extra for recycling. So I'd like to understand how they can promise us that they're going to do better than they've done in the 5 years I've lived here. Because every single year, it's gotten worse, not better, in my opinion. So that's really my question, is how are we as residents supposed to say, Mascaro stands up here and they can say whatever they want, that's fine, but they have shown us the opposite of everything that was discussed up here. I understand we got one quote, but why aren't we actively seeking why we're not getting more quotes? Why? I would like to understand the reason for the other quote that rescinded. Why? We have 3 other trash companies that pick up within Montgomery County. So to say that we're going to have a huge disruption of service, I don't believe that. There are plenty of other companies that actively work within Montgomery County and in Norristown and in East Norriton and West Norriton. It's not all Mascaro. So why are we not actively seeking out quotes from those companies that already are servicing other parts of our area?
So I guess that's for us.
I think that's for everyone.
So, right, we are asking people to bid on it, and we can't force them to.
I know, I understand the process. I used to run a construction company.
So, the other company, did they get bought out or something like that? So I think they got bought out by another company, so then they pulled out. That's what I'm hearing, so.
But why hasn't anyone from Norristown reached out to Whitetail or Republic or Waste Management to ask why they're not even interested in giving us a quote? Are we just going to wait around and wait for somebody to want to do the work, or are we going to actively try to seek better service?
But that's the purpose of the RFP.
I understand what the RFPs are.
I hear what you're saying. But I just want to just.
And Sion referenced that the people in that industry were notified specifically that the bid went out and they were notified.
I understand that. But I also understand that there's a lot of politics involved with companies around here as well, right? They know that Mascaro is the one that's been servicing our area for how long? I have done trash contracts for dumpster pickups, for all kinds of stuff.
When we say politics, can you?
I mean, as in not stepping on each other's toes.
Oh, so you're saying they internally, the trash company,
Sure.
each other, okay. Because we say.
They all
politics,
have their
that means
areas
people think
and
you're
whatever
involved with
else.
us. I just want to.
I just think that we can be more proactive in seeking better service here instead of just settling for the crumbs, because that's what it feels like. This is the only quote we got, so we're gonna be good with that, and that's, we're gonna go with. That's what it sounds like.
The reason they do RFP, so legally we won't be getting sued that we're
I
cherry
understand.
picking. Right.
But if you're not getting any other quotes other than the company that you have a current contract with that's up for renewal, you are legally allowed to reach out to other companies to ask for them specifically to put a quote or bid, or ask why they're not interested. There's nothing illegal about that.
There's nothing wrong with sending a question. I agree if you say, why didn't you bid? But yeah, there's nothing illegal about that whatsoever.
With that being said, I will make it a point to reach out
Would appreciate
to
that.
find out why they did not.
Yeah. And I would also just consider what 1 week looks like, once a week looks like. Do we think that they're gonna then come in and do it twice a week and do it well? I think we would all love to have our trash picked up twice a week. I just don't think any of us believe it's gonna get picked up twice a week. Can't even get a trash can. I've been waiting literally 6 months, so.
Thank you.
Somebody from Mascaro getting their trash can, I appreciate that.
How are you? Good. JP Mascaro III from JP Mascaro and Sons. First, I'd like to say, obviously, we've been doing trash and recycling collection in the borough of Norristown for a long time. We appreciate the long-standing relationship that we've had with you. You're a very good customer of ours, and we take pride in the service that we do provide to the community. I do want to address the current procedures that are in place to address service concerns, because the way it's been presented tonight, it's as if we just go about our business and we don't have any interaction with the municipality, with the borough, in terms of addressing complaints and issues that arise, and that's certainly not the case. Currently, we have meetings with Public Works on a twice-a-month basis, which is far more than any other contract that we perform in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And at those meetings, we discuss any complaints that were sent into the borough, or any that were sent or called directly into our company, and we reconcile those. I can tell you, for last month, we had 25 for the entire month. We did 30,000 collections in the borough, and there were 25 complaints. That's less than one a day, or basically one a day for the collection days. That's an excellent service level that we provided to the town. Now, I'm not here to dispute if there are individual residents that have had issues, and I will certainly make myself available to them specifically, give them my personal cell phone and handle their issues directly. I have no issue with that. You mentioned with respect to carts and the specifications of carts and things like that. That's, the borough decided to have carts, and the borough decides what the specifications are that we bid on, and that's what we do, and that's the services we provide. We didn't decide to necessarily put the carts out there. But we're committed and have been to working with the borough to address any concerns that come up. In fact, on a quarterly basis, I know you mentioned on a quarterly basis, we submit a written survey to the borough to fill out, which has a laundry list of items for them to be able to put their concerns down. And we've received an excellent service level on all of those surveys in the last 3 years that we've had here in the borough, from the borough. So unless we know of what your issues or concerns are, we can't handle them. But we're always open and willing to have lines of communication open to improve the service and make things the best that the borough can be. I mean, we're committed. We're here. We're your neighbor, and we want this to be a good contract. Let me just say, with respect to the once a week versus twice a week. Once a week or twice a week, obviously, we're the only bidder on both of those options. So for us, it's really irrelevant. But I will say, from the twice a week standpoint, and these issues have been brought up, twice a week does provide the opportunity to have a cleaner collection throughout the borough. Your trash is being collected twice a week. Right now, what you see sometimes in the once a week, not everyone, but some, they fill their containers up, the lids are up when they put them out on their trash collection day. That obviously gives the opportunity for the elements to get the trash spread out into the alleys and the streets. It also allows the opportunity for the animals and things to dig into the trash and spread them in the street. When you go to the twice a week, obviously your trash is going to be picked up twice, so there'll be far less opportunity for those types of situations to take place. The bulk collection currently is being done on a Saturday. We didn't decide that. That was in the last specification. Obviously, we think it makes more sense to do what's in this new specification, which is to pick the bulk up as we go through the town. I mean, there are many times now where there's bulk sitting out waiting to be collected, and quite frankly, I drive through Norristown every day. I don't like the way that looks, and I call my guys and tell them to pick it up, even though it's not bulk collection day. The former person that was in charge of the contract didn't like when we did that. He wanted it waited. He wanted us to wait till the collection day that the bulk was supposed to be picked up on. So the long and the short of it is, we do have an open dialogue with the borough on a very regular basis. We will continue that. We'll certainly offer up any other opportunities for that dialogue to expand or continue, because our goal is to have you be happy with your trash collection services. And I know we're not always going to be able to make everyone happy. That's just the nature of the business, but we certainly will strive to make everyone and every resident as happy as we possibly can. The card issue, I realize that has been an issue. We have put out 30% more carts in the last contract than what the original specification called for. They get taken, they get, a lot of people call and complain that their carts have been stolen, so we replaced them. And yes, there has been a backlog, but we're going to, hopefully with the new system that the administration is going to put in place, we'll be able to address those on a more timely basis. Mr. Leitner, I've worked with him in another municipality. He knows my accessibility, so I'm not just standing here giving you a sales pitch. He will certainly know how to get a hold of me and address any issues that arise. And like I said, we appreciate the business, and we look forward to improving the cleanliness of the borough with the twice a week collection, if that's the option that you go with, and obviously seeing whatever else we can do to work together to make sure that you guys have the best trash and recycling system that you can have. And I'm available for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. I did have a question.
Sure.
You had mentioned that you work closely with the borough. First of all, thank you for your time. Thank you
Sure.
for coming out and being willing to be a part of the conversation. I'm interested where the breakdown possibly could be, because I do hear resident concerns about the trash. You're saying they're getting, or at a place now where you've recently got less than one a day or around that rate, and you're hearing from the municipality that everything is okay. Where might that breakdown be coming from, where those concerns are? Do you find, do you think that people are not reaching out to you? I'm just wondering, because I've heard the concerns, so I'm a little concerned that you're not hearing the concerns.
I'm not so sure. I mean, we give the borough the opportunity with a written survey to put down in writing what any issues or concerns are, and they have not been giving us back any issues or concerns on those surveys. And we meet in person on a twice-a-month basis with Public Works to discuss any issues that are ongoing, and we strive to address them immediately. Additionally, we have supervisors in the town every day that check in on a daily basis with Public Works to see real time if there's any issues that need to be addressed, and obviously we'll continue to do that.
And is there a way the public reaches out to you all?
Yeah, they have the ability to reach out to us either by phone, email, etc. And hopefully with this new system that's being discussed here tonight, where we're simultaneously getting notifications, maybe that will help so there's no confusion with, we called the borough, we called Mascaro, that we can have it all in one place and address it timely.
Awesome. And then my last question was just around, can you help me understand, because I wondered this too, what feeds into the backlog of the long wait time for trash cans or the replacement of that?
Like I
is that
said,
a distribution thing, or what is that?
Well, it was the large volume of containers, right? When we first put the containers out, you have 9,000, and then no one really knew how many people were going to want one or two. We accommodated it for two for everyone. We've gone through that allotment, and we've put 30% more than the allotment out in the borough. Where they've gone, I don't know that. And I think this might be one of the communications issues with the carts that we are hoping to solve with this with this new system. But I agree, we should be responsive to residents that have card issues. There's no doubt about that, and we'll work to make sure that happens.
And if
My wheel breaks a lot too. I'll just say that, my wheel and my cart. I don't know if that's the thing you hear.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you have a designated like team or something like when Norristown specifically calls in for customer service that they handle the calls? Because I think that's one of the biggest complaints that I hear is that they call Mascaro and they don't get a call back, or it takes a long time for them to get a call back. So is there like a specific?
We do have a designated representative that to receive the calls from Norristown and log them accordingly, and we do log every call that comes in.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we then go over with at the bi-monthly meetings that we go over with staff.
Would you say the call volume is high?
I would say it's, compared to other municipalities, very low.
Really? Okay. All right. Yeah, because that's kind of what I hear, at least in my district, 4th District.
Understood.
Most of the complaints that I hear, honestly, are trash pickup. So that's why I was just wondering if there was, if the call volume was high, or maybe the person that's taking the call, is kind of overwhelmed and maybe gets a lot of complaints and not able to answer everyone back, or?
No, like I said, for the month of February, we had 25 calls for the entire month.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
If they're not getting called back, you're only getting 25 a month. That's something we definitely should look into.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
If you're only getting 25 calls a month and then people are not getting calls back, that's something we definitely should look into.
Well, I'll look into, everything I hear tonight, I'll obviously look into,
Yeah.
and we'll be prepared to address these at our first meeting that we have on our next regular meeting, and we'll address all these issues that were brought up tonight.
That'd be great.
All
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I could just say a few words following up, certainly. I'm sorry.
I just fixed that.
I know. It's,
They're
speaking together. I know. But it's just
that
quick.
means he's gonna speak.
I get it. But it's just a thing that you don't know.
No, you have to wait for them to speak. They're a team, they're the organization
But it's
speaking
open
first.
to public
Yes,
comment
after
for the
they're,
community.
after they are done, not he is done.
Okay.
Point, you did open up for public comment, and you did not establish a line, but he wasn't in line.
He asked already, and you all did not get in the line, and I was really like, well, we keep the space, right? So we're gonna let them finish, and then you all can have an opportunity.
Thank you. I've been with Mascaro for 35 years. I've dealt with your solicitor. I've dealt with many of your past borough managers. And first of all, you know your community. We're not going to suggest whether you should go to once a week or twice a week. And I'm sensitive to that. You obviously want to get input from your residents, whether it's by survey or by here tonight. You're the elected officials. And JP, obviously, his last name was on the side of the truck. He's sensitive to the service issues, and he wanted to speak to you about that. And we understand that if there's a lack of communication, we need to improve that. I just wanted to talk to you for a couple of minutes about your options that I think are factors for you to consider. First of all, this is not an advertisement, but I have to be honest with you. JP Mascaro Sons in this area has the most solid, sound infrastructure of anybody. Now, we don't compete nationally. We can't compete with Waste Management all over the country. We can't compete with Republic all over the country. But in Montgomery County, nobody has the infrastructure that we have. What do I mean by that? We have a hauling division right across the river from you in Bridgeport. We have a state-of-the-art $20 million recycling center just outside of Pottstown. We have a landfill just outside of Pottstown. So our resources allow us to compete very competitively in this region. And your solicitor will tell you, there's no politics in public bidding. You have to award the contract to the lowest responsible bid and bidder. And I've been going to municipal meetings like this for 35 years. And it's not unusual to have one or two bids. It's a very tough business. It's very capital intensive. So the fact that you only got one bid in the end result doesn't mean that you didn't reach out. It's a public process. Everyone on PennBid gets these notifications. So 23 companies, 23 entities took your bid solicitation. And I would suggest to you that they realized that they couldn't compete with us in this community, given the resources and infrastructure we have. And the fact that there are private haulers that collect individuals, this is a bonded community. We're going to have to put up a $24 million bond. Now, I'm not saying you want to prevent people from bidding on this contract, but you have to have certain protections to make sure that if there's an issue, because it's one thing to have complaints about misses. It's another thing to have the company not show up, and then you have a performance bond issue. But I took enough of your time, but I just wanted to focus on a couple things that I think, if you haven't considered, you ought to consider. We service about 100 communities throughout Pennsylvania, and we have more than a handful that are twice a week. The largest contract in the Commonwealth that goes out to bid is the city of Allentown. It's about 130,000 units. They've had twice a week for some time. We have that contract. In Montgomery County, Lower Providence has had twice a week for a number of years. We have that contract, about 14,000 units. Warminster is another big one. We even have a small community that has twice a week, a borough in Delaware County, Colwyn Borough. So what I wanted you to take a look at, if I could just ask your solicitor to pass down, is talk about value. And I think this is where you could really appreciate whether you're getting value for your services when you compare the two types of services, once a week or twice a week. So I asked my guy to break down, you know, we look at the contract as number of collections. You have 9,000 units. So right now, we have 9,000 trash collections. We have 9,000 recycling collections. That's 18,000. Then you have bulk. Then you have yard waste. So we're collecting between 25 to 30,000 containers a month. Am I going to sit here and tell you that that's going to be perfect? No. The human element, there's going to be issues. The issue is not when there's a mistake. The issue is when we can clarify it in a timely manner, which is important, and we should be able to do that in 24 hours. And we're not insensitive to these folks here tonight. But what I showed you here is, regardless of which option you go with now, the way your specs were laid out, there was a price mandated for the remainder 9 months. So the price from April 1st to 12/31 is the same price whether it's once a week or twice a week. And if you look at that number and say, what am I getting for that? The rule way we suggest you evaluate that is look at what the cost is per pickup, which means every time the truck comes down the street to pick up trash, what are you paying? If you look at this chart I gave you, in 2026, for that one collection of trash per week, because we pick it up once, I'm not talking about yard waste, I'm not talking about bulk, I'm not talking about recyclables, but for one collection a week, it's costing, under our number, $2.77. Now you go across that under 2026 for twice a week, you see that it's $1.92. So for two collections in, each collection's costing your residents under our price $1.92 versus one collection for $2.77. And when you look at those numbers, I suggest that that's how you really can value and gauge whether you think you're getting a bang for your buck or you're getting the best price. You know, as to and I looked at these numbers compared to Warminster, which is twice a week, compared to Lower Providence, which is twice a week, and even Allentown, and the per pickup is about the same. And when I say that cost, you know, that factors in sending a $400,000 truck down the street every day with a CDL driver that makes a fair wage of about $80,000 to $85,000, including benefits. Two drivers in the back of the truck that make about $50,000 to $55,000 with benefits, and the insurance and everything else. So that's all tied in, and that's what you're getting for that service. And you know, as to factors that you would consider, for me going to other meetings and listening to other folks talk about, you know, why they would go twice a week. First of all, the trash doesn't sit in the container for a whole week. It gets emptied twice a week. And I've heard someone mention about stuff on the front porch where the trash containers are there. That's a factor. Secondly, it's convenient. People get double service. If their work schedule is such, or if they're away, or for whatever reason, they don't get trash out on your first day, they don't have to hold it for another whole week. You have a second collection. And one of the, I think, added factors that will benefit the municipality, JP calls it a borough because we've been here so long, it's a borough, it's a municipality, is that it really can help clean up, it'll help keep the borough clean, if not cleaner. So we really appreciate your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I know you've got to do what you think is right for your citizenry. And whatever you decide, we'll be pleased to continue to serve you.
I do have a quick question, and that you may have mentioned this already. When
Yes.
for twice a week, what does that look like? Is that usually, how many days apart is it? Is it usually Monday and a Thursday, or Monday
Typically,
and
look, we didn't spell it out, but typically it would be, most often it's a Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday.
Okay, so it
Something
is,
like
there's
that.
a few days in between.
Right,
Okay.
or, yeah, right, with the idea that they're not each 2 days in a row. It doesn't, it
Right.
defeats the purpose if it.
Or even if it's just every other day, like a Monday, Wednesday,
No.
because then people
Right.
tend to leave their trash out the end, like.
And then, of course, if it's Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, if it was a holiday Monday, then it goes to Tuesday, Thursday.
Got it.
But the idea is, over a 7-day period, you get trash collection that's kind of equally distanced between the two levels.
And there will be no pickup then on Saturdays at all, correct, right?
No,
Okay,
no.
all bulk pickup would
Yeah,
go
I think,
during.
no, we would typically do it Monday to Friday, you know, unless some weather emergency or something, or for some reason, collections could be completed on a Thursday or Friday. If there would be a holiday on Friday, I don't know that we'd get it on Saturday, whatever we work out with the borough on the holiday schedule.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Would you like to have your question? All good? All right. Anyone else from the public have a question? All right. So council, what do we want to do here? So time for our work session, talk about 1 week or 2 weeks. What's that? Yeah, what's up? All right, council. So, do I have a motion for Resolution 26-24 to recommend the award to JP Mascaro Sons for residential solid waste and recycling collection waste with option 1 for once per week trash collection with once per week recycling collection. So continue as we are.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy?
Aye.
Medea Robinson?
I'd just like to say that with this movement, I will be expecting a lot of accountability and communication. I'm accessible for that, and I expect the same. I do wish there was another option in a way that would be something we could move faster on, but I do understand the timeline that we are facing. But I also understand my responsibility to these residents and myself being a resident here. So I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to working with you to make this work, because it needs to work.
Natalie Colson?
I also just do want to add that I count as part for the 4th District. I do want to be part of the conversations of the monthly or quarterly conversations, just to give my feedback for my residents in the 4th District, so.
You said yes.
Yes, aye.
David McMahon?
Aye.
Dustin Queenan?
Aye.
Rashad Bates?
Aye. Ayes have it.
If you opted to go with 1 time a week, that we would agree to keep our bid for 2 time a week open for the remainder of the year. And if the situation presented itself through the end of the year that you wanted to go to twice a week, we'd be agreeable to that. So I'll send a letter in to you and copy your solicitor that we'll hold the second time, a two-time a week option open for the remainder of the calendar year. And if you wanted to reconsider, you could do that.
Awesome. Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate that. All right. Next, a motion to approve the settlement for the pending tax assessment appeal for 350 West Elm Street.
Mr. President, I know B and C are essentially they're related to different properties, but they're very analogous, so just give an explanation of both. These were both appeals filed by the school district related to these properties. In these circumstances, because by far 80% of the tax revenue goes to the school district, they take the lead, their solicitor take the lead, they hire an appraiser. We usually follow them on these issues, unless there are any kind of issues related to this, and that there was some disparity or something came to our attention. It's really not cost effective for Norristown to send me in my office, hire an appraiser and such to get involved. And both of these represented in money that will be refunded both to the school district and to council. So they're net increases, so a good result for Norristown, both for 350 and 354. So that's an explanation of both. I know you have memos in your packets related to both. If there are any questions, be happy to answer them.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the settlement for the pending tax assessment appeal for 350? Can I do 354 too? All right, for 350 and 354 West Elm Street.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
William McCoy,
Aye.
Dear Robinson, Natalie Colson, David McMahon, Dustin Queenan, Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it. All right, moving on to finance. Resolution 26-11, request for municipal council to authorize destruction of eligible finance reports per commonwealth and municipal records retention policies.
Council, as you mentioned, tonight I'm requesting approval to destroy specific finance records, and it's within our record retention policy. Actually, a little even more conservative. I usually add an extra year in there, so just want to get rid of some boxes.
Just for newer council's edification, this is state guidelines of the Historic and Museum Commission. They set guidelines on how things are to be destroyed in a timeline of usually 7 years or more for these records, and we're just complying with that.
Correct.
And we have to do so by resolution. So just so I know there are conspiracy theories out there. Every municipality has to do that, get rid of their old paperwork, so that's what we do.
These particular records aren't very important finance records. These are actually just regular records, and they're only actually required 2 to 3 years. And we're going back only to 2001 for payroll and 2023 and 24 for some of the other records. None of these are really important paper records.
Council, any questions?
I just have a general question. I'm in an industry where you got to keep it for 10 years after you don't have the client, then you can destroy them. But most everything nowadays that we use is electronics. Is this actual paper or is it
This is actual paper.
Okay.
It's not electronics.
All right, is there an electronic copy somewhere?
For some of these, not all.
Okay.
But in payroll system, we have all the W-2s, all that kind of records. What we just don't have all the paperwork submitted.
Right. Does the payroll company have backups of that? Because don't they do everything electronically? Then they could either mail it to you or something like that. So there's electronic
We
footprint.
download, every payroll, we download a whole bunch of reports.
Okay. So we have electronic
a lot.
file.
We have electronic of everything we need.
You just want to get
These
rid of
aren't- we
the
don't need
paper part that you print off and stuff like that. Okay. Because I know some people will be like, what if you need to access it and stuff like that?
Yeah, these, I wouldn't get rid of it.
But yeah, I understand what you said, because I print off stuff, but I still got electronically, and we're allowed to destroy that. So, okay.
Council, any other questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 26-11 to request municipal council to authorize the destruction of eligible finance records per Commonwealth and municipal records retention policies?
So moved.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy,
Aye.
Adair is not there. Natalie Colson. David McMahon. Dustin Queenan. Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Next up, planning. Request for extension of plan approval for 1417 and 1419 New Hope Street.
Good evening, Council members. Thank you, Council President. Tonight, we're asking Council to give an extension for the land development that was approved in 2021 for Mr. Costa for the property that is located at 1417, 1419 New Hope Street. It's a land development that was approved at that time. As in most land developments the council approves, they usually are conditioned on the engineer's letter, and usually it has all the conditions that the applicant has to meet. This has to be done within 5 years. Past the 5 years, you need to come back to council to approve for an extension so that you're able to continue the land development. In this case, we have Mr. Greg Costa here tonight, in case you have questions for him. But we also have the municipal engineer, because he's the one who keeps track of the engineering comments. Until he is done with those comments, normally, he would, if they have met all the comments, the engineer usually sends us an email or a letter telling us, hey, he's met the conditions, now he can move to the next stage. At this point, he cannot unless he gets the extension from you. So I'll ask Mr. Costa just to stand here in case council is question. Also, are there any questions of this request for an extension for the land development? Go ahead.
So just looking to get an extension. I think I'm almost at the finish line with the paperwork and all. It's just been a long, tedious process, more personal issues that I was dealing with that took the length of time to get here. So.
Just speaking on his behalf, he actually started this process in 2019. So Mr. Costa has been through quite a wringer. He got his zoning permits approved in 2019. He's taken the right process, is what I'm basically saying. Then he received his zoning hearing board approval in 2020. He came in for a minor plan preliminary land development in October of 2020. Pennoni issued a letter, the 247 letter, December of 2020. He followed up, came to the Norristown Planning Commission, January 2021, and of course the Planning Commission recommended approval. He also went to the Design Review Board for approval, which they did recommend in February of 2021. And from then on, he's not been able to move forward. But then when we looked at the time frame, it was past the 5 years that we allowed him to actually start the development. That's why he's here before you, asking you for an extension so that he can move forward.
Yes.
Council, any questions? Okay, Councilwoman Robinson?
I just had a question, just so I can understand the process. Is the extension that you're asking for an additional 5 years of extension? Like, what's the time frame on the extension?
Understanding it's a year, engineer? Or is it something that council can make a decision?
If you're doing this, would you agree to a limitation of 5 years, 2 years? You would agree to a 2-year extension.
Okay.
So why don't you approve a 2-year extension if that's what you want to do? Ordinarily, if you'd done this, it would have been another 5 years, so this will limit it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So my question is, would you feel confident with the 2 years? For sure, okay. Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
Do you feel like you're close? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me what I want to hear, like, for real. Like, do you feel like that 2 years is the time you need?
Yes.
Okay.
And Councilman McMahon, did you have a question? No? Okay.
Permits in 2 years or completion?
Completion.
If you're be comfortable with it, because it's the
Recommendation but there are they don't.
But he's asking, they're asking for a 2-year period to get funding. Well,
Yes, yes, so basically the 2 years would be, he would have 2 years from now.
Or-
And then construction would start.
I guess what I'm asking is for completion, like, okay.
If you're gracious enough to do a safety number of 3 years, that's great. For completion, if you want a completion date.
So what the engineer is saying, that once you've recorded the plans, then you're not limited. You're good. So it's 2 years for him to be able to. Yeah.
That's fine.
So 2 years, I think you're fine.
Yes.
Council would recommend the 2 years. Just to record it, because after that, he's got no limitation. He can then build, so he'll be good. We won't be back.
I'm sorry, can I just think that no one wants an ongoing foreverness feeling. And
Absolutely.
having not been a part of the council that looked at these plans before, the 2019 feels a bit alarming to me personally. I understand that you went through some things, so I'm just trying to understand. But thank you for the clarity in the process that he's able to have his own timeline after you get to the recording. If you feel like you can get to the recording within the 2 years.
Councilman, let me just comment on that. It's not unusual at all. It seems like a long time, but in a lot of developments, you never know what the market, and we might affect your development. So sometimes the market affects whatever it is that you're going to do, and there are times the developer has to actually get their refinance together, and it may take longer than that. So this is not unusual, actually.
And I'm not debating that at all. Just as a resident who has been around a lot and feels like things are constantly always in process for a very long time, it's just something I wanted to understand a little bit more about the process. But the rules are the rules. If it is for you to record and then the timeline is yours, I'm not debating that.
Okay, Councilman McMahon.
So just for clarity, completion is a totally separate issue from this, okay? So in that case, if we're thinking for a 2-year extension, that's just for recording of this plan. And that would be the thing that we might consider here at this moment, is the 2-year, excuse me, the 2-year extension, but it's not tied in any way to completion of the project.
No,
So my own preference would be for the 2-year extension.
Years.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what they're asking. Do you need 2 years or do you need 3 years? Because I don't know the process. I know things can happen.
Well, I think he said he only needs like less than.
I know, I'm just
said like
making
a year.
sure, because I
Okay.
don't want to say something, then he's like, oops. You know what I mean? So, so what's the usual time frame? Because I know we don't know, y'all kind of.
I've seen anywhere from 1 year to 5 years. It
Okay.
can be any of those, depending on what the developer is capable of.
I guess he always can come back again if there's a reason. Okay, all right. So it's no, okay.
I want to trust his confidence for two.
So,
No.
all right. With that being said, Council, do I have a motion to approve the request for extension plan of 2 years for 1417 and 1419 New Hope Street?
So moved.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy.
Aye.
Deidre Robinson.
Aye.
Natalie Colson.
Aye.
David McMahon.
Aye.
Dustin Queenan.
Aye.
Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Council.
And planning, you're still here. Request council authorization and approval restructure for a historic facade improvements program.
Thank you, Council President. We're here tonight to ask Council to restructure the historic facade program. Given that we have a balance that we need to use spent by the end of this year, 2026, just as a matter of record, the historic facade program actually was established in '86 and has been going on for a long time. And we were fortunate enough to get funding through the ARPA County to actually continue this program. If you recall, I did come back to council sometime in November and asked council to increase the architect's fee because the balance of the facade program was large enough, so we needed to extend, or rather increase the architectural services so that we could service more applications. If you just follow me through the county ARPA program. If you recall that the municipality received $2 million October of 2023, and the projects that were approved was small business assistance loans for $228,000, historic facade for $128,000, the Norristown Small Business Assistance Center and NEC for fit out for $80,000, administrative services $124,000, Norristown Food Hall Commercial Kitchen $1,200,000, Downtown Redevelopment Area Business Initiative $200,000. The county got back to us and they were not comfortable with funding the food hall at that point. So we came back to council and asked council to amend the program. And we asked council to approve the small business loans for $469,131, historic facade still for $128, and the Norristown Small Business Assistance and NEC office building for $2,869, because since by that time, we were not pursuing the combination of those two offices, so that reduced the cost just to I think it was the internet services and licensing. And of course, the administration services, that is the amount that is actually paid towards the staff that works on this program, was $200,000. Then the food hall, because the county was not comfortable with that, they said they'd rather use those funds to basically give to small businesses that were going to be in the food hall rather than having the food hall improvements done with those funds. And then the Downtown Redevelopment Area Business Initiative was then $1.2 million. We did get a message from the county, even though that says December, we actually found out in around April that what the county was comfortable with was the small business assistance loans for $369,000. They wanted the historic facade renovation program to run at $1,128,000, and the small business, as I had mentioned, and the NEC office for $3,000. That's still the costs that were there prior. The administrative services that go along with administering this project was actually reduced to $100,000, and then the Norristown Chamber of Commerce was issued a $400,000 award, and all that still comes to $200,000. Now, we come before you tonight because we're in a tight squeeze and we need to be able to use these funds by the end of this year. We have been working feverishly with our business community to make sure that they take advantage of this opportunity. And what we found out when we worked with our architect is that in as much as we had set the limit for $10,000, we were way outdated in terms of costs of construction. Our architect basically looked at the improvements that can be used for the facade program, and it averaged $35,000 actually to do those type of improvements. So we said, well, this is an opportunity then we can then increase, ask council to increase the amount that actually goes to the small business assistance, rather the small businesses, so they can improve their facades, and we're able to exhaust the funds by this December 2026. So rather than have the small businesses put in $5,000 and have a $5,000 ARPA funds to match, which will take us forever to exhaust the funds, and we will not be able to meet the December 2026 deadline, we're asking council to reconsider this, and actually have the small business eligible for up to $40,000, even though the cost estimates are coming at $35,000. That does not include prevailing wage rates. Once you use prevailing wage rates and you go out there to ask for bids, you're going to get to about $40,000. So for us to exhaust the remaining funds, and I have to add, I'm sorry I didn't mention it, the 109 East Main Street would be part of that facade project. The estimate has come to about $270,000. We're still waiting for specs from the engineer, and we'll be able to bid it out, and we'll know how much we'll be able to deduct it. But when we deduct that much from the balance, we have about $750,000 left for us to exhaust through this program. and therefore, we would need about 12 to, anywhere from 12 to 14 projects to be able to use these funds to exhaust those funds before 2026. We have to work feverishly. We have to make sure the business owners understand this, and so that they will take advantage of these funding, and we don't have to send it back. That's why I'm asking council tonight to reconsider the restructuring so that we can push this project forward. Are there any questions?
Council, any questions? Councilwoman Robinson.
I was just wondering, before we made the adjustments, or before the hope to make the adjustments, how many applications were you seeing?
We have received already and approved 12.
Received and approved 12 already?
Yeah, we've been working very hard on that. Yeah.
And just so that I'm clear, this facade setup is for a property owner, not just simply a business owner. So if you're renting in a
Correct.
space, you
Correct.
have to be the property owner to apply for this.
I like that question. I'll tell you why I like it. Because there are some business owners who are coming, and we're encouraging them to speak to their property owners so they can take advantage of this. And several have done that. So sometimes it reaches the business, but then maybe the property owner does not know about it. Maybe they're somewhere in New York, they don't know about this type of program. But then we've encouraged them, hey, here's an opportunity that you can improve your property.
And these dollars were already in effect prior to this current fiscal year that we're operating in. The 12 applications that you're speaking of, are they across the entirety of this program, or are they just within the last calendar year?
Actually, it's the last calendar, we had to really push.
I see.
We had to go out there and say hi.
So it took a lot to get the 12?
Oh, yes.
And with that in mind, you said you would need at least 12 more?
About, I would say maybe another 4 or 5.
You need 4 more?
Yeah.
To exhaust the
Out on
funds?
street. To exhaust the funds, yeah.
Can you send us a list of the properties that were approved, or?
Absolutely.
That way we can see. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
My questions might be a little bit different. So this is the $2 million of ARPA funds we got that was supposed to be for small businesses, correct? Is that where this came from?
Well, those are the list of projects.
Right. Because I know we approved the food hall.
Right, but the county was not comfortable with that.
Right, but that never came back to council to discuss, did it?
Not that I know.
Yes, it did.
When did that come back to us?
It came back to discuss with you when we moved the money in October 2024 to December 2024, because the money for the chamber was the block by block.
Yeah, but let me correct you.
That's when the money was,
Hold on.
that's when the whole thing was discussed.
Listen, well, when you discussed that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bates, Council President Bates, we were told $300,000 came from your department, Jane. Didn't we give them $300,000 from your department? Because it was going to be 400.
That's, I think.
But then you broke it down to 300,000 with them spending money and getting receipts back.
No, the MOUs that I looked at and looking at, you're talking about the.
No, I'm talking about what was told to us, yeah, at the time.
The block by block came out of a beautification, if I'm remembering that rightly. And that was assigned to, I think.
That's the local opera. I want to make sure there's a distinction. I think
There's
Kathleen.
difference.
The local opera, the 300,000. She's confirming. That's
The beautification is our ARPA.
Right,
The
but-
chamber, yes, it came from Jane's department because Jane is managing the ARPA from the county.
Right. And I just want to get this correct. So then you told us the county was going to match what we gave
Yes,
to them.
they did.
Right. So you're saying out of the $2 million we have, we gave them 300,000, but it says 400,000 up there.
Because that's what was put, but they only got 300 is what you all approved at the meeting.
Okay, so council approved to give them 300,000 of our $2 million, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So okay. So how did $1 million get into the facade program without council approving that? Because this facade program I'm looking at normally had $128,000. How did $1 million get put in there if council didn't approve that? Because I know we didn't discuss that.
Because it's the county's ARPA money.
No, it's,
It's the county's ARPA money, and the county did not want to go through with the food hall.
the county has to get, they could say, hey, do this or that, but it still has to come back to council for us to approve.
When we talked about the ARPA and we talked about this entire budget, that
We
was
didn't talk
discussed.
about the facade. Okay, excuse me. If a council person, like, yeah, let me know if I'm wrong. Did anybody discuss this as council that was putting $1 million into the facade program?
That's where the county wanted the money to go.
You said, you said tonight? But what I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, Jay, and what we're doing for it. But we did not have a discussion that we were moving $1 million to the facade program, so therefore council didn't have a say in that money going there.
Well, we'll have to check the minutes to confirm.
I don't need, I know we didn't.
Okay.
Let's do, when did we do that? That you recall?
December 2024.
Lightner, I'm telling you without a doubt, we never had a
Okay.
discussion. Because I'm not the only person that doesn't remember not having a discussion. Sean, that amount of money, does council have to approve that from going from one area to another? Don't we have to approve $1 million to go into a facade program?
In general, yes, I'd have to look at the specifics.
No, I'm fine.
I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I just want to, make sure, because I'm like, so now that it's there, I'm pretty sure we're locked in because we have a time frame, so we can't really do too much about it. But, so out of the $2 million that we got, we didn't get, that food hall, that council did approve, because I remember we approved it and we amended it, like you said. But I never remember us talking about taking the money out of that and putting it in the facade program. And any council member up here could please tell me if you have a different recollection.
You said you remember amending it? The money out of the food hall?
I remember us approving 2024. I don't remember us approving $1 million going over to the facade program.
No, but you just said you remember amending the money coming out of the.
Lightner, I don't want to get hooked on a little thing. I'm telling you what I'm looking at right here. I don't remember us moving $1 million over there. And I would think that council should have, legally would have to say so, have to vote on that. I can understand that the county might not agree with it.
I don't remember what happened in 2023, I'll be honest.
Okay, I remember, it's okay if the county doesn't agree with it, but it would still have to come to us to work together. So for them, so who approved this? Who approved the 2024 of $1 million going to the facade program? No, I'm asking, who approved that?
We're going around in circles. We just talked about.
No, I'm not, I'm asking you a direct question. Who approved it?
And I give you my answer.
What's your answer?
What I told you before.
I'm asking, obviously I'm asking for a reason.
I'm not going to go around. We have to check the minutes.
Lightning, please be respectful.
Queenan,
I'm just
please be
asking-
respectful as well.
Hey, guys.
Council, I'm asking the direct questions, refusing to answer.
Can you please repeat that answer, Mr. Lightner?
We have to check the minutes to confirm.
You have to check the minute.
Yes.
So, President, that means we don't know that.
So we don't know.
Okay. Nobody has any questions about how $1 million got in there?
So with that being said.
I think we need a review of how that $1 million got in there, who approved it, because if council didn't do it, somebody approved it without council's approval.
Okay. But then my question is, if it's already moved there, can we move it back?
I don't think we can now, because we gotta spend it within a year, but
Okay.
we still need to figure out how they got over there if council didn't approve it. And I get it, we don't want to waste money that could benefit the municipality. It could have been used in different ways, but it's locked in there now. If we could have had a conversation, I don't know, maybe council would have came up with this, or maybe council might want to do a twist or something. But it's locked in now, we gotta go forward. But this, from my knowledge, this is something council definitely should be a part of, or should have had a say-so in.
I don't remember if we did or not, but I agree with you there. But if it is locked in.
Right, no, I don't want to waste it.
Oh, yeah, no, we're going to use it, and then we'll go back and check everything else.
Yep.
Does that work?
100%.
My man. Council, do we have any other questions? Seeing none, Do I have a motion to request council authorization and approval to restructure the historic facade improvements program?
I'm going to say move it, but it's because we don't have no choice. I feel as though that we're kind of forced to do this, to spend this money. So I don't think I really have a choice, or a council has it, or the money will go to waste.
It'll go to waste.
Yeah, and that wouldn't benefit the township. I would have loved to have a say-so in it, but so moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy.
Aye.
Medea Robinson. Natalie Colson. David McMahon.
Aye.
Dustin Queenan.
Aye.
Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you, Jane. Moving on to building code and compliance. Request to approve HARB COAs. Hello, Keith.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Yeah, our committee met this month, and they reviewed and approved 2 COAs.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the request for HARB COAs?
So moved.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy.
Aye.
Medea Robinson. Natalie Colson. David McMahon.
Aye.
Dustin Queenan.
Aye.
Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. Moving on to police. Resolution 26-04, Memorandum of Understanding and Purchase Contract between the Norristown Police Department and Bode Cellmark Forensics Incorporated.
Good evening, Mr. President. Before you was a motion to approve memorandum of understanding and purchase the necessary supplies to support the evidence-based DNA testing program, which is in place and has been in place in Norristown for many, many years. I want to, from the outset, try to articulate what this program is. This program, which is in partnership with the Delaware Valley Regional Crime Information Center in the city of Philadelphia and the 5 counties in the metropolitan Philadelphia area, to support evidence testing for DNA purposes to identify individuals who engage in criminal activity. This is the testing of swabs that are taken from pieces of evidence that are recovered at crime scenes, such as, let's say, for example, a stolen auto, we would swab the steering wheel. Firearm, we would swab the magazine, we would swab the handle. Those samples would then be processed vis-a-vis our partnership with Bode and compared against a national database to identify individuals who are connected vis-a-vis DNA to that particular piece of evidence that we have submitted. This is not, I want to repeat this empirically, a mass gathering of individuals' DNA for submission to any database to be tracked by any federal government or other private entity. We are taking samples discovered at a crime scene. We don't know who put them there, and we're using that technology to swab it. Bode develops it, and then they compare it to a database of known offenders to determine whether or not we can identify who may have participated in that crime. And I just, if you will, indulge me for just a minute, because I understand how sensitive this is to this community. I heard the people here this evening. I've spoken with Mr. McMahon, who's been very passionate and very leading on this issue. But Bode Labs is a $400 million company, $425 million in revenue. Our contract with them would not, although it would send a message symbolically, it would not affect Bode Labs. But here's where it will affect. In the last 2 years, we've had 146 separate criminal investigations related to DNA forensics in the municipality of Norristown. We have used DNA to identify in 56 related cases related to firearms, serious crimes of violence in our community, individuals who were ultimately identified and prosecuted. Because we have to do multiple swabs at a given crime scene. Let's say, over the past 2 years, we have swabbed 1,300 times individual articles. So let's say a handgun is going to get swabbed 4 or 5 times. Stolen car, we're going to swab the door handles, we're going to swab the steering wheel, we're going to swab the gear shifter. That's 1,300 swabs in 2 years. That takes capacity. That takes a large partner, and that takes a company like Bode Labs. Beyond the firearms investigation, DNA evidence has also resulted in the arrest and burglary criminal investigation of 12 burglaries, multiple stolen autos. It has linked individuals, 58 individuals, to 348 crimes across the metropolitan Philadelphia area. So this principle that 20% of people commit 80% of the crime is validated evident through genetic testing, that individuals who commit crime in Norristown commit crime in the city of Philadelphia, they commit crime in Delaware County. And this work and this process, with all due respect to the passion on all sides of the issue, and I respect everyone's opinion, this isn't a national event, this isn't a local political issue. This is about providing the best level of police services to the residents of Norristown to prevent them from being victimized. Removing access to these forensic capabilities would not eliminate crime. It would only reduce our ability to identify those individuals who are engaging in violent crime and property crime in our community. I just want to speak a little bit about the Bode connection. As a law enforcement practitioner, as a professional, as an American, I worry about the surveillance state. I worry about that. I have my thoughts and opinions. The Bode Cellmark DNA, rapid DNA development contract that was signed in 2025 was as a result of a court order that required the federal government to identify persons at the border who have a familiar relationship. A lot of people who enter the border illegally disguise their ability to access vis-a-vis family relations. So they bring kids in and they claim to be parents, siblings of these minors. This was a direct result to identify individuals who are using minors to engage in border crossings illegally, and also to identify individuals and children who are being used as pawns in human trafficking. The rapid DNA that Bode does is a 90-minute process. Some of the program details. And one of the most important things that I learned today when I was doing this, because Mr. McMahon, you and I had a very impassioned conversation the other day, is that per the contract, the 2025 contract through Bode, the DNA samples are destroyed and the electronic data is purged from the system after the familiar relationship is either affirmed or denied. That DNA program is agents at the border stopping individuals who are posing as family members. They swab them, they identify if there's a family relationship. They don't identify who these people are. They only identify if this person and this person have a relation. Once that is done, those swabs are destroyed. Now, again, I'm very impassioned about this. I'm very much a supporter of our criminal investigations here in Norristown. We know we have challenges with violent crime in Norristown. We know we have gun violence. And to take away this program and to require us to try and find another lab, quite frankly, I did research on some of the labs, one of them being a lab that's local in Willow Grove, which doesn't have DNA forensics. One of them being a lab in Abington, which doesn't have the capacity. But to interrupt this program right now and to make us go out and try and find another vendor would seriously hinder our evidence identification and collection process in Norristown and make Norristown less safe. So I'm happy to answer your questions, but my request to you would be to approve this motion tonight for the interest and safety of public safety in Norristown. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Council, any questions? Go ahead, Councilman McMahon.
Are you saying that a company like Guardian Forensic Sciences doesn't have the capacity to handle what Norristown's load would be?
Not from my research, no. There's two individuals there. They're a small firm. They're a competent firm, but to handle 1,300 swabs in 2 years, that takes a lot more staffing than I believe that company has capability to do.
How low are we on the stock now, swabs?
We're in the arrears. We owe them money. They have they've been gracious enough to continue to do our swabs, but we owe them money. And Mr. McMahon, I appreciate your passion for this, I really do. But I just want to differentiate. This isn't us putting people into a system. It's us taking articles that we identify on the street as evidence and comparing them to people who are already in the system. Thank you.
What's this contract look like? I mean, is this open-ended? What are our options kind of going forward to continue looking for alternatives?
So this, if I'm not.
Are we committed to only using them as a sole provider, or is there, or
So as
we
you and I.
run parallel?
No, as you and I had spoke, this is a one-year contract. So if it is the will of council that we explore other options in the next 12 months before this contract runs out, I will do my darndest to do that. But this at least keeps us on track while we explore those options.
And we have parallel services. Do we have to use them for all our DNA testing?
Yes, they are a vendor right now. We could possibly
There's
have.
no exclusivity.
Sorry?
There's no exclusivity within that contract? We can go to other vendors?
We could explore the opportunity to go to other vendors, yes.
Because it's like a kind of a pay-as-you-go thing.
Yeah, but the one value here is, remember, we're tied into a regional database. So we have to make sure that the vendor that we go through is tied into the regional database, or we're submitting DNA to a database. We could submit to CODIS if there are proper vendors. Getting into CODIS is very difficult. CODIS is a national database that is what the FBI uses. So, yes, we could explore other options, but that would take time.
I have a question for you. Who's their national competitor? Who is Bode Cellmark Forensics national competitor? Everybody uses it as a competitor.
So, nationwide, I don't know, to be honest, off the top of my head. But they are a large operator in this space.
Okay. So they more or less have a monopoly, kind of like?
I'm sorry,
So
sir.
they more or less have like a monopoly, in a sense, on this?
I think that's.
As far as for police,
I think they're the largest vendor, and they have the capacity to work and develop DNA on multiple samples, which gives them a unique proprietarial sense of, we see proprietary vendors in our spheres, people who can only do certain things and no one else can really be in that space.
Well, I think the biggest contingent that a lot of people have shows concerns is those sharing it with ICE. Is there can we put parameters around?
Remember, we're not.
No, I'm talking about the constituents. That seems to be their biggest fear, is that we're feeding information into ICE. And they're
We're not. We're feeding reference samples that are developed by Bode to the FBI's CODIS database, people who are in that database.
Right, I understand that, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong, people are saying that once they have it, since they're a private company, they're allowed to use that information any way they want to. So I think that's what the concern is. I don't think it's that we're doing this on purpose. I think they're saying that since they're a private company, they're allowed to do with whatever information they want. Is there a way we could write up a contract to try to mitigate that?
Yeah, again, the answer is I don't know.
Okay.
What I will tell you is, remember what they have. They have a developed DNA profile. Then that gets cross-compared, and then we get a response, a hit back.
Right.
I don't know if they then say, oh, we had CODIS, we have profile one, and I'll make this up because I don't know
Right.
the Helix thing, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it goes to FBI labs. In CODIS, FBI sends something to us and says, oh, this is Tom Smith. I don't know that Bode goes, oh, FBI, we need that for our record so we can now, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Dave, I know you did a lot more research than I have. Is there anything out there like that you researched?
No, I personally know yet, but I'm saying we're not really seeing what, we're signing up for a sort of a terms of service that we don't really know what that, like, I'm not really clear on the limits of the data sharing on this. And again,
the extent that I can understand the data sharing is that they develop the DNA and then they share it with the federal database to identify if there's someone in the database that has a match. So they share it with the FBI. I don't have any information, nor am I aware, and I would probably argue that CJIS restrictions related to criminal justice information would preclude them from selling it to a third-party vendor.
Yeah, but they don't need to, I mean, there's a different standard to, I'm not sure that a private company is really going to be meeting the same standard of safeguarding, privacy in the way that like the FBI itself is limited, like there's more civil rights protections that the FBI
So the FBI
has to
does, they
conform to.
do place massive restrictions on data sharing of criminal, what they call
The FBI
seizures.
does, right.
Correct.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I don't know the extent that this company as a private entity matches those same civil
Right.
rights protections.
So my understanding, to be a part of an FBI-recognized DNA program, you have to be compliant with CJIS requirements. You have to comply with the FBI's rules on data sharing.
So there's not a way for them to exceed those. Yeah, I'm really reluctant to do this. I know, I do understand the time constraint here. We're going to be meeting again April 7th. I do know we're already behind on this. I mean, is there, can we?
When is the
more to
contract
dig
up?
into this?
Yeah, when is the contract up?
Expired already, right?
It's not expired. yet.
Oh, so they're still working for us, and we got to pay them. That's why you
Correct,
said
but
we don't mind.
they're,
Okay.
we've kind of worked with them to, quite frankly, we can't stop our DNA. We just had a shooting over the weekend where we had to sell shell casings out for DNA sample. We're constantly sending out samples for reference testing.
I have a question. How many resources did you get? I know this came up on our agenda previously and had concerns. And within that time, how many other DNA testing sites have you been able to get in contact with? I know you mentioned the
I don't want to
one.
use any vendor names because I didn't.
I don't need to know how.
But they're from
how many.
Abington and Willow Grove, they're local. I know you gave me one out in Pittsburgh, but I wasn't able to figure out who that was. I did speak with the county's DNA expert or lead forensics lab. He did multiple years with the city of Philadelphia, and he's been running our program for years here. And he basically told me there are a few vendors in the country that could do what we're doing, and who are also tied into the DIVIC database, the local database, and our DNA profiling here.
I'll say I'm a little concerned in the thought that I would have hoped that there were some more alternatives that were available to us, but also that there was time to look into them. I did some of my research as well. I can imagine that you put a good effort in, and I can imagine our counterparts also looked. I think one of the sobering moments is we all likely agree there should be an alternative. Is there one that we can assess? I'm not asking you. I'm naming that it feels like that's the hard wall that we're hitting up against. I do also want to just frame, while I appreciate you sharing Bode and their relationship to the border rapid testing, Bode is also actively seeking out additional ICE contracts and also sued a competitor for not getting one contract. So I just want to name in the space that I don't know that it's as helpful as we think it is to say this is all that they're doing. They are pursuing other space in that realm. And I also do respect that what's happening is happening at a very federal, national level that impacts some of where our impasse is and what our opportunity is. I don't want to keep pushing this down the line because I do believe we need the testing, right, to operate and do the functions that we need to do for our safety protocols. On the other side of that, I wish there was some expert that we could tap, someone that could tell us, go left, go right. This guy down the street can do it for you. And I feel like we are amongst many communities who are knowing that there needs to be another way and not knowing what that other way is.
I think that goes to the absolute rigid standards that the FBI sets for DNA testing and profiling that makes it very difficult for companies to meet that standard. It's tough.
I went back because I remember when we had this conversation before and it was about the data sharing policy, but it looked like more a change to the fee schedule and there wasn't like a written policy about how they share data. I went back, it seems like we have been in Bode and it could be extended before this, but at least since 2020, we've had a standing contract that's been renewed with Bode under these same sharing protocols. So to some extent, let's say we stop it, we just stop what's already been happening, not necessarily making an adjusted change.
Yeah, and, yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Do you feel like you have capacity and your team has capacity to do additional research? And if so, how fruitful do you find that that research might be?
Well, I think obviously the sentiment of the folks here, Councilman McMahon, is that we should try and explore it, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think the issue becomes is will our efforts bear fruit? I don't know. Because I think that even some of the search, and with all due respect, Mr. Mann, he admitted it's challenging. It's a challenging space. Doesn't mean I'm not willing to do the work and talk to, I mean, I've been looking at a company over in England, see if they have a relationship over here in the United States. So it is a challenging space to operate, but I do want to make it clear, we're not talking about swabbing people and putting people in a database. We're talking about comparing evidence at crime scenes to people who are already in a database. We didn't put them there.
I completely understand that. I think the fear comes in that this is not where we start. It's not always about where we start. It's about how the system progresses and then is able to maneuver once you're already inside. So I think that the concern is about not that it's not where we are right now, it's how quickly things can change and how vulnerable populations are under those type of circumstances.
Thank you, ma'am.
Council, any other questions?
But it doesn't have to be for the entire floor.
Work session, so
It doesn't have to be for the entire floor.
you can talk.
I have one more question, or just
Go for it. Yep, you're good.
just for clarification. So there's nothing preventing us from using multiple vendors for this kind of work, right? There's no exclusivity in this contract with Bode, right?
There's no exclusivity. The problem is the partnerships we have. Whether or not they would take DNA developed by a vendor other than Bode. Because it's a partnership.
So, that seems like new information. What do you mean?
Well, we're part of a regional DNA sharing
Yeah,
program.
right.
And that program, the regional program, uses Bode Labs as the vehicle to get DNA reference samples into the system. They don't use any other labs. So we all use the same lab.
That's license plate readers, it's kind of like that, y'all share that, like if you.
Yeah,
want
that's
to-
the Viper system. There's a
Right.
there's a sole source provider on that.
So y'all all dump data in there, that any of y'all could go in
Yeah.
there and use, okay.
The value in data is being able to share it across jurisdictions and to link different crimes to individuals. And as you pointed out here, we had 58 individuals who were linked to 350 crimes in the region. And they're crimes of violence, and they're serious Part 1 crimes.
So I guess what you're saying then, if we do have to look for a new forensics company, they would also have to have partnerships with our sister, brother municipalities and states like that for us to have a good DNA.
Yes, and that could be an opportunity in the future to see maybe there are other municipalities that share your concern, and they may feel the desire to ask their elected officials and their professional staff to go check this thing out. So maybe this could be something that runs afoot, but right now, that's not out there.
So most of the municipalities and police departments around here are using Bode, correct?
Oh, yeah,
All of them?
if you're a part of the county program, you use Bode, because that's
Okay.
the lab.
Okay, got it.
That in the regional segment, that's how samples are added. Can you just talk me through that added process? Is that as with conviction? What constitutes being added and DNA being retained so that it remains in this database with cooperative information about the person?
We're entering a reference sample. Sample is compared against the CODIS database, which is administered by the FBI. Individuals convicted of certain felonies and sexual offenses are, as a result of their criminal conviction, added to the FBI's CODIS database. There are other ways to get in the FBI CODIS database. Bode will store the reference sample, or actually, strike that. Our partnership, we will store the reference sample, because at some point in time, we may have a sample today of a shooting casing that goes to an individual who's, let's say, this criminal, but they get arrested 2 years down the road, and they get convicted, and their DNA gets thrown up in the system. That system's going to come back to us and say, hey, Norristown, that shooting you had at DeKalb and Markley or whatever, that's this individual here. So it's actually historically going back and helping us solve crimes too in that way.
And we are contractually obligated to be in a contract with Bode. This is not an ad hoc. It seems like we're already in an expiration point with them, and we're paying ad hoc. So, is it mandatory that we require a renewable time set contract?
I think they're just going to honor our payment as payment of services past due. We're not accruing any additional fees.
What does the urgency look like for you to renew this contract? If we're able to already still get services from them?
It's highly urgent. It's urgent.
Maybe let me clarify. I mean urgent, not that you don't think that the services are important. I mean urgent as in us getting into contract with Bode versus what you're doing right now, which is seeming to be paying them as you go.
We're not paying them.
Okay,
They're waiting for us to sign this contract, and they'll accept payment for services in lieu rendered, but that's a limited time.
Do you have any definition on that time? Has there been any conversation around that?
I do not.
Okay. I would be interested to know if there were stipulated deadlines on their end. Just trying to understand the dynamic.
No, and I think the deadline was whatever it was, March 1st. It came before council in January. But we've asked them to continue allowing us to submit the samples, and they've done so, but that's going to run out. That goodwill will end.
How long you think?
I can't speak for Bode.
These are extraordinary times. And so I think in that diligence is of the utmost important. You want to be rushed, but when there is not a clear alternative of the next, sometimes it needs time. So I'm just trying to understand that perspective.
And I respect all the opinions from council. It's a very sensitive issue. I understand you're accountable to constituency. As your practitioner, this is what I feel is the best practice right now to continue our DNA program to protect the residents of Norristown and solve crime.
Councilman McCoy.
Chief, do you know of any other townships or boroughs that have pulled back from contracting with this organization?
I'm not aware of any. As a matter of fact, I'm aware that there is a program that we are not a part of where they actually are swabbing individuals who they come in contact with. So it's actually expanding versus decreasing.
So if we were to not continue contracting with this organization, what would that look like for us if we were to say no tonight?
We would stop DNA testing of all evidence at crime scenes.
And that's starting like right away.
It would probably start pretty soon because they're only going to accept reference samples for a period of time. So, and they're not going to give us any more time. Eventually, this is going to wear out.
So the DNA that we would typically collect would just sit there and not move through a system that's regional.
It's not going to get tested. It's just.
Got it.
Councilman McMahon.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point out that it is possible to lose control of these processes, and that we unintentionally build systems, that necessarily didn't seem obvious or may not have been foreseen here. And so I'm really reluctant to continue on with this company. I understand the scale that they have, but that, for me, is a real double-edged sword. I really want to explore other options. And I know that we're going to be, as a group, we're going to be talking about other issues related to ICE and data sharing overall, where, we want to, I think, set some standards about what our cooperation looks like as a town So we have more to learn about this, but, yeah, I'm really uncomfortable with this. I really want to sort of, explore the other local options, get a sense from them. Their current capacity doesn't necessarily reflect what they're capable of in getting a contract from us, so maybe just more time to explore this. I mean,
With all due
no,
respect,
that's not a question, I know, but I'm just saying that in general, like, it's step by step, we're building out these systems, one small separate decision at a time, and I don't really like contributing down that path.
and I respect that, and again, we're not expanding anything, we're just continuing what we've always done. This is not an expansion or an outgrowth of anything new. This is a practice that we've always done. We just happen to use Bode Labs to do our DNA development.
No, but I'm saying on the corporation's part.
Agreed.
Right, okay, that's where the issue remains, at that level where people in this, heading up these companies are always looking for growth, okay? And so that our current government is a growth opportunity for many people. Whoever thought incarceration would be a for-profit business, but here we are. So, yeah, I don't have an easy answer here, but, I want us to seriously consider, the implications of these smaller decisions that we make here.
I have a question for you. So basically, I know, we could go into this contract and break it, right? What's the penalty for breaking it? I know it's a year, but everything's breakable. And there's a penalty. or
I'm
maybe
not a lawyer, I don't know contract law, so. I don't
Because from what I'm getting from you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is if we don't do this, basically you can't do your job as a police officer to the fullest capability.
Correct.
Like there might be crimes going around unsolved.
There will be crimes that will go unsolved.
Right. That's why I was looking at, like, every contract could be broken. There just might be a penalty, but just want to put that out there.
I agree.
Yeah, Councilman Moore.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, we live in a high crime-stricken area where crimes happen on a daily basis. In fact, yesterday, people just stole my packages from Amazon. So it's like crimes are happening on a daily basis. So if we had a hiccup that some people might deem as a minor, it might cause significant problems down the line. And that's a problem for me. Every day there's a different shooting, or every other day there might be a different shooting in Norristown. If we can't collect the data and move it through the system, then we're at a standstill, and that's problematic for me.
And I'm not here saying that I'm not inclined to hear what Mr. McMahon is saying and look those other avenues. I'm just saying right now, time is of the essence, we don't have it. This is a one-year deal, we'll be done this, and then maybe in the medium, I will be able to get you, and we will be able to work together to get information if there is another source for this. But right now, we don't have that.
Chief, would you be open? I know right now, police department is struggling with, getting new police officers. I know you guys are doing a lot of extra overtime and stuff like that, but at some point, would it be okay for you to maybe come to us like once a month just to show us your research for like choosing a new program, saying we do choose this tonight? Can we like have a steady course of over the year to find someone new to replace if we can?
I can work on putting something together for you, a timeline. I'll bring you monthly reports on what our submissions look like, what our responses look like, so you understand the value of a program. But here again, we need to make sure wherever that lab is, they have the ability to submit into the FBI's coded database, because that's where the identities are. Samples don't have a name; they just have a number. The number and the name and the number are connected in the FBI's database. So you got to make sure you can clear their hurdles to get into their database. That's where the rub is, so to speak.
Okay. Council, any more questions? No? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 26-04 Memorandum of Understanding to purchase contract between Norristown Police Department and Bode Cellmark Forensics?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy,
Aye.
Dear Robinson,
No.
Natalie Colson, David McMahon, Justin Queenan,
Aye.
and Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Yep. 4-2.
Resolution 2618, a request of Municipal Council to approve contract with Lincoln Center, a co-responder for the amount of $120,000.
Mr. President, tonight before you is a long-awaited, long-talked-about, long-discussed proposal from the Lincoln Center for a mental health co-responder. This proposal was given to us prior to actually myself coming here. There was a mental health co-responder program in Norristown prior to me being chief a few years ago. That went away. This is a proposal in the amount of $120,000 to support a on-site clinician to do actual co-response with our police officers and also to assist in the mental health of our police officers, because that is also a challenge we have. The Lincoln Center has been widely recognized within the region on their resources and capabilities with respect to mental health care and treatment. We have had, and we have been told that we were awarded $191,000 from a PCCD grant to support this program. Where we have found challenges, that grant is still under review by the Department of Justice. About a week ago, as is the case, we're constantly reassessing our ability, and we determined that funding that we already have in place vis-a-vis a grant program through the opioid settlements can be used to pay for mental health co-responder programs, because police officers are viewed as tertiary victims to the opioid epidemic, and therefore that funding is available to us. So that is why you're seeing on the agenda tonight, because we do have significant amounts of opioid funded money. I think we're in about a little over $100,000 there. There's probably a little bit of a difference. And then we still have that grant program that we hope will get cleared by justice and come here. I will submit to you that we've had some issues lately related to mental health, engaging in our people in our community who are in crisis that have obviously, everyone has seen that. We need true mental health co-response in this municipality, doing responding programs. And I will tell you, I did a foot patrol of the transportation center recently, and that is a place where we will start on day one. In the transportation center, working to get people help, working to get them resources, so the people who utilize that facility don't have to deal with the challenges that are there. And I respect everyone who's undergoing mental health and drug and alcohol crisis. I've experienced it in my life with my family members. But dignity is helping these people, and dignity is giving them the resources to move and transition away from their current condition. And I believe that this program will not only help our residents, it will greatly aid our police officers, and that's why I'm requesting that you approve this program for 2026.
Council, any questions?
This is for one position, the amount?
Correct.
Okay.
It is one position. It's a
And correct me if I heard you, so this person will not only be a responder, but they'll also administer mental health?
for our officers.
Okay. How do we do that now with our officers?
Right now, we have EAP, which
Okay.
is an employee assistance program. We have counselors from Montgomery County Emergency Services who use CISM teams, critical incident stress management teams that we have brought in after critical incidents.
Right.
The FOP has a program that they can refer their members to counseling that is paid for by the FOP. It's an anonymous program. So we do have resources, but to have an in-house clinician constantly touching and being in the space where officers are, gaining their trust.
Because you know me, I'm a financial guy, so I figured, I was like, okay, we were paying for some of the services, so those are services that we're kind of not paying for outside of like currently now, correct?
Yeah, we're not paying for them, and the problem is that what I've noticed in my past life, and we did this before I came here, we wrote an RFP, developed a co-responder program in my prior community, and one of the barriers to mental health care for police officers is the stigma that comes with mental health care. Police officers don't necessarily want to seek mental health care because there's a stigma that makes them weak, when in fact the absolute opposite is the true. And what we learned, and what I learned empirically and practically, was although the program was a little skeptical in the beginning, when that co-responder was in there every day with the men and women in the organization, responding to calls for service with them, going through the same traumatic events they were going through, this circle of trust became apparent, that they started to trust one another and view each other as peers. And when that happened, the walls came down and communication began, and people got treatment for probably issues that would been left undiagnosed and untreated because they didn't feel safe talking to anybody. So I think that's the value of this program.
Kathy, did we budget for this already? Okay, that's all I need to know, because we budgeted, it didn't increase.
I can feel finance right here in the
And
back
just
of
to
my
let you know, I think it's a male thing, to be perfectly honest with you. Men, a little too macho. We all you need to talk to somebody from time to time, so.
Yeah, we do.
Chief, I did have a question that might roll into two questions. So we're using the opioid funds to fund the co-responder, which is fine. So the PCCD grant, when we get that, I guess, since that's going specifically for the co-responder, that doesn't go back to the opioids, it goes to the co-responder? Or,
You know, it's more of a technical finance. I don't know if we could use the PCCD grant funding to refund the opioid money.
okay, well, I didn't want to, because this couldn't work for that. I was wondering if that would be then, we could have that co-responder for another year.
We could have it for another year.
Is that how that works? No? Damn, I tried. Okay, thank you.
If we budgeted for it, we budgeted for every year, right? For
Okay.
this position?
Yeah, it's a contract.
Oh, okay. I just thought we budgeted. It's going to be in there every year. That's, you know.
Baby steps. Let's get this year put together and then.
All right, thank you,
Well,
Sean.
we usually don't take nothing from the budget. Shoot me. But I'm just saying, once it's in there, it's in there. But okay, as long as we budgeted for it, we're great. Yes.
Councilwoman Robinson.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. So just to clarify, this is a contract with the Lincoln Center, so the co-responder would be, in essence, their employee that then works with us. How would scheduling work with that in mind?
We haven't gone into particulars. I'd like to see a flexible schedule from the vendor. They have been very responsive. The nice thing about the Lincoln Center and why I think this is a good model is they vet all the candidates. They will provide a co-responder who meets the needs of Norristown. They'll come in here. If they can't assimilate and work well, we just call them up and say, look, this isn't working out. We need a different clinician. Contrast that with doing an RFP, hiring somebody, training them, bringing them online. Then they may or may not be a unionized employee. They could be at will. And then there's a problem, and it's a very difficult process to replace them. This way, we're constantly getting a clinician who's trained, up to date on everything. And if it doesn't work out, we can move on to another one.
Sorry, I had a couple more questions. Currently, as it's set up, the contract is a $120,000 contract at $10,000 a month over the course of 12 months. With this original language looking like it started in January and then running through December, we're in March now. Is there a proration that's going to happen to the contract? So the actual amount then is not the 120 that you're asking for?
I would expect it to be prorated. I can report back to you from the vendor, but I don't think it's going to be an issue because they're not delivering services. Or we go to the vendor and ask them to have it as a 12-month contract.
And so if we approve today the 120, there's going to be come back to say, hey, here was the actual spend on it? Because you can't spend 120 in this fiscal year unless we're upping services in some way.
It would go a couple different ways. One is it could be prorated till 12/31, or it would go from the date we signed the contract, so 12 months from that date.
But then that carries over into the next fiscal year.
Yes, yeah.
That we have for a budget we haven't created. Just to Councilman Quinn's point, that's not in the budget the next year.
But remember, this is a contract, and we're using opioid funds.
Totally understand, totally heard. I'm just trying to understand and being presented in March with a 12-month contract. We're already 3 months into that, likely won't get placement until April.
Right.
Yeah, we'll get placement soon, and what in my past life, again, you're going to get reports on cases, actual statistics on how many people we've made contact with. We can't give you information regarding names and PII stuff, but we're going to let you know how many people we've had services with, how many people we've connected to services, and then we always try to look at the cases that are wins, right? How many wins did we have? How many chronic cases, chronic addresses where we're constantly responding to a mental health call at this location, and now that call has been abated because we've had the professional staff on scene. And then, you could also do an economic ROI on that. How many tax dollars are we saving by not chronically going to the same address over and over again to deal with a mental health crisis? When we abate that, there is a value to that.
I know it's still a little too early to tell as far as how the process looks like, but any indication that you can offer, I'd appreciate. Do you imagine that they're riding in the vehicle with an officer? Are they having their own separate vehicle? Maybe what happens in the term when they can't be at both calls? And have you identified any peak hours or times when you think you might use their services? Because, mental health doesn't happen between 2 and 5, so trying to understand where and how you might use this one person. I'd just be interested to know what thoughts you've already put to it.
So we definitely know there's certain locations in the community that have the concern right away, so we can do co-response. There's also follow-up solo response. And Norristown could use 2 co-responders, but right now we need to get the program back up and running, get the determination as to how we're going to staff it, what the hours are going to be, what that's going to look like. And then when we find out what fits, that's our model, and then I'll be back here hopefully in October, arguing for more money for another program, and hopefully in 2027. So this is the first step to getting us back to where we should be in having a mental health care response program.
Something to think about. If the person's here and they're for the police department, they have openings, I would like to see if other people within administration could use the same person as well, if they have time available. I think that would be great. But I know you guys go first, but if they're in the building.
I think having a mental health clinician on staff, we could probably maybe loop them into some of our conversations with HR about getting us guidance and information about what resources are out there.
Right.
So maybe not necessarily direct one-on-one clinician, but access to resources that we could draw upon to help all of our staff, not just the police.
Exactly.
This fire needs it, and look, we all need it. It's a crazy world sometimes.
Yeah, council needs it. You get stressed.
Council, any more questions? Good. All right, seeing none. Do I have a motion for Resolution 26-18 to request Municipal Council to approve a contract with Lincoln Center for a co-responder for the amount of $120,000?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy. Adira Robinson. Natalie Colson. David McMahon. Dustin Queenan.
I'm an aye, but I want to talk with you when you said go to the SEPTA station. We definitely need to wrap them into that because that'll take all our money, but I'm an aye.
Todd Bates.
Aye. Ayes have it. All right. Moving along to Resolution 26-19, establish and/or remove handicap parking.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. If you recall, again, this is a little preceding me, there was a period of time in the municipality where the issuance of handicap parking permits was put on hold, if you will. That was rescinded this year. We've received numerous applications. So here before you, under this resolution, is simply what has been your prior past practice to the applications have been vetted, they've been viewed, the individuals qualify for the handicap parking space, and the addresses that are contained in the motion is our recommendation that they be granted for new applications. And then also, there's some names in there related to removals of prior permits that are no longer needed.
Council, any questions?
The ones that are being removed are no longer needed?
They would have been individuals who may have moved, perhaps no longer with us, and there's no longer a necessity for that. So each year they do review the ones that are issued to determine whether or not the need still exists. So when we add new ones, we also are looking to take away ones that are no longer necessary.
Council? No more questions? Thank you, Chief, because I'm going to have a lot of people being happy about this tomorrow. So do I have a motion to approve Resolution 26-19 to establish and remove handicap parking?
So moved.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy.
He left.
I'm sorry, he left. Madeira Robinson. Natalie Colson. David McMahon. Dustin Queenan.
Aye.
Todd Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it. Let's see here. Resolution 2620, request for municipal council approval to promote officer to the rank of corporal.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council. We spoke tonight in executive session. There currently is a need in the police department for a corporal's position to be filled. On the 14th of January of this year, 2026, The Civil Service Commission certified a list of eligible candidates for that position. Among the top 3 candidates is Officer William Klinger, currently assigned to the Investigative Division. And upon performance review and discussion internally, it is our recommendation that William Klinger be promoted to the position of corporal.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 26-20, request for municipal council to approve promotion of officer to rank corporal?
So moved.
Madam Secretary.
William McCoy, I'm gonna keep saying, sorry. I'm gonna cross his name off. Adira Robinson, Allie Colson, David McMahon, Dustin Queenan.
Aye.
Todd Bates.
Aye, the ayes have it. And one more for police here. So Resolution 26-21, request for approval to purchase a contract from PERF for training ICAT.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. When I was hired, one of the things I do is I do an assessment of the police department. One of the things you've charged me with is to work on providing overall performance evaluations and training needs and necessities regarding staffing and whatnot. One of the areas that we have identified is training related to de-escalation, and it is much needed in our profession. I would argue that it's needed within our organization right now. There's obviously been high-profile incidents in the past that have kind of really solidified the need to do a comprehensive, holistic, high-impact training that really drills down into de-escalation. And the PERF, which is the Police Executive Research Forum based out of Washington, D.C., is a nationwide think tank that delivers training and consulting all across the country. And their nationally recognized de-escalation training, which has been empirically and evidence-based study when they did it in Louisville, Kentucky back in 2015. It's the Integrated Communication and Tactics De-Escalation Training. And what it emphasizes is the ability for officers to get on scene, create distance, establish communication, take a tactical approach, but allowing individuals to de-escalate situations before they become violent. It is a national standard. It is the gold standard of training with respect to de-escalation. A PERF would come in here for a period of 4 days and train the entire department at one time. They all get the same message, they all get the same training, and this is instructors from all across the country that come here. The fee for the program that you see listed in there is inclusive of all travel, all food, all the services we need, the training center where we'll be hosting the training. That is it. There's no additional fees to this. This represents a significant investment in the professional development of your police department and your men and women, and will help make Norristown a safer community, especially when we have people who are engaged, have times of crisis, and unfortunately officers respond. They're going to have the proper training and tactics to de-escalate versus create situations where force is necessary.
Council, any questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 20? What?
No.
Oh.
I held myself back.
20, a motion to approve Resolution 26-01, 2621, request for approval of a purchase contract from PERF to training ICAT.
So moved.
Madam Secretary.
Adira Robinson, Allie Colson, David McMahon, Dustin Queenan.
Aye.
Rashad Bates.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's no problem with somebody from council attending and seeing what's going on, training. Thank you very much. A lot of stuff's on the agenda tonight. Thank you for your time, consideration, your thoughtful questions. I do appreciate your responses, and I appreciate all of you, so thank you.
You guys have families. Do you want me to table the department reports, or do you want to go through them?
I don't have a family, so it's like, how much?
Okay, all right. Well, then, can I have a, what's up?
You're not tabling.
It's not tabling.
Oh, I have to table that?
No,
Oh.
we'll just move it to, well, I'll move these reports to the meeting down the road.
Okay, thank you, Leonard. Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.